Could the thing that's caused college football to spiral into something that most of us don't like or don't even recognize be the thing that brings it back to some semblance of normalcy? Welcome into Wire to Wire. I'm Diesel. He is Cole Bryson. You are Toloing. If you're tuning in right here at the very beginning of the show, you can Tolo on the radio. That's great. 97.7 FM in Greenville. Tolo in Spartanburg at 97.1 FM. Everywhere you are on the free Odyssey app. And, of course, you can watch the stream live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for the Fan Upstate. We have sent it out across all of those platforms, Cole. But I love this. I love this piece of audio. Now, I bring up all of this audio with a little grain of salt because what we're about to discuss in this segment may never actually be implemented as this particular individual's future at the institution in question may be changing immediately. But Deion Sanders got up and spoke to his players ahead of the 2025 offseason. I don't like the word offseason, but there's an offseason in college football. It stinks. We're going to be in it here in just a couple of days. But Deion Sanders is implementing a whole new set of rules in Colorado. And it's about time, right? It's about time that a coach that we thought was not going to have any rules is laying down the law to his players. Is this a little too harsh? Is he trying to control his players a little too much? Well, we're going to discuss it in this very segment. Let's play it first. Cole, did you smash this into one piece of audio or is it two pieces?
It's all one piece.
It's all one piece.
All one piece.
Here we go. Here's Coach Deion Sanders Prime talking to his Colorado Buffaloes.
What if discipline starts? It starts in the meeting room, starts in your personal life, starts in the weight room. Discipline is discipline. If you're not disciplined off the field, you're not going to be disciplined on the field. That don't translate. So everything you see that we're going to implement this spring is going to be disciplined. By the way you dress, the way you prepare, the way you come in your attire, the way you do everything is going to be disciplined. Let's start off with that. Going to class, I want you guys in the front row, those that have classes on campus. If you have online, don't be sitting up there half naked online and walking back and forth to the screen and doing the stupid stuff that we did last year that we had to correct. So let's make sure we're in the front of the class and we dress appropriately.
Just pause that for a second. I want to know who it was who was walking half naked back and forth in front of the camera for online class.
He probably does not like he probably doesn't like wife beaters. He probably doesn't like, throwing on a hoodie if you're on Zoom, because I think a lot of these classes are online, right? It's too cold to go to class in Colorado. He probably doesn't like just half whatting your attire on a Zoom class, and I get that. I respect it.
Yeah, here we go. Let's continue with Prime.
Just athletic gear on some slides. Don't let me catch you on campus with no slides on. Because we will send people to your class to make sure y'all straight. Don't make me come to your class and you have on slides, okay? Wife beaters, of course, they sit in the front, not in the back. Seniors, I want you to listen to this. This is evident. Like Coach Ray don't say, I don't get involved in that, what y'all are earning or what you're making. Quit playing with your hair. You're a grown man. Don't play with your hair while you talk to another man. Okay? I don't get involved with what you make and whatever. But when you stop going to class, now you're affecting me. So we're going to affect your check. When you stop going to class and I see a multitude of F's and D's up, we're going to affect your check. Do we understand that? No, because I don't want you running to Coach Ray saying, well, man, why y'all took this out of my check? Well, that's the way it is in the pros. When you stop doing certain things that you're supposed to do, that you signed up to do, you're going to be affected. So we're going to do that.
I like it.
I love it.
I like it a lot.
I want some more of it, as they say. He was really interesting, though. He just said seniors. I don't know if that's if he's only going to do that to seniors or if he's going to do it to players in other classes. I don't know for sure, but man, he just laid out a list of rules there. No slides, no wife beaters, wear something other than that, just athletic gear in class, sit in the front of the class, don't play with your hair, and if you get D's and F's, we're going to take money out of your check.
As someone was playing with their hair while he was talking. Look, I absolutely love it. I mean, how do you not respect the standard that he's trying to set, right?
I think he's been hanging around Nick Saban too much in a good way. And remember, Nick Saban was all about discipline, all about look. I love a quote from John Wick chapter 4. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you're willing to cut corners here, you're going to cut corners over there, and there, and then all of a sudden you're somebody who cuts corners in every aspect of your life. The question is all of this far too penal? Is Deion Sanders taking it too far? Like, what's wrong with wearing slides, man? Like, I just want to be comfortable. I want my feet to be able to breathe. You know, I'm out there all the time wearing athletic socks and shoes, and I got tape around my feet. My feet can't breathe. My feet need to dry out. I need to take some time. So why can't I wear slides on on campus, Coach?
I do get that. And Texter says, reminds me of Rick Barnes calling out a player for not doing what he's paid to do. Texter, we literally played that audio yesterday on the show in the audio blitz at 6:00. There's nothing wrong in my mind with coaches setting a standard, whether it's, and I understand the whole slides thing. These are like, I want to be comfortable when I work. You know, you want to be comfortable. We all want to be comfortable when we work. I don't know if slides is like, I guess some coaches pick their battles, right?
But Coach, why can't I wear a wife beater? You know, I work hard on my physique. Yeah. I want the ladies on the quad to see the cut in my shoulder. You know, I want them to see that I'm yoked. I want them to know that I'm on the football team. And then I'll have more honeys coming over to my dorm room. That's what I want, Coach. Why can't I wear a wife beater on campus?
You know what? I would love to know how much of this, the way that Deion acts as a coach, I would love to know how much of that is because of the coaches that influenced him. Maybe he did have coaches that influenced him, Diesel, in the right way, like this way that he's doing, or maybe he didn't. And maybe he is learned what not to do, and he's wanting to set a standard of, hey, this is how I want my program ran. And look, whether it's slides, wife beaters, whatever, I have no issue with it.
Well, I loved what he said about no looking half naked in class. You know, that in like online classes, I guarantee you, it has happened more than once. A football player is doing an online class, and he's got his laptop on his desk there, and he's sitting back on a recliner or something like that. He's got just like basketball shorts on and nothing else underneath, and something that a professor who's making a lot of money to better your future doesn't want to see gets shown on that video. It's clearly an issue. He said, we're not going to be doing that this year like we were doing last year. So I appreciate the fact that Deion Sanders understands that now that he's going into year 3 of his tenure at Colorado, he has to button things up. He can't allow a program to get unruly and to get out of hand, especially knowing his personality, which is a, hey, look at me personality. He doesn't need 85 to 100 guys on his roster all behaving just like him.
So I, just a few moments ago, Diesel said I have no issue with it, and I don't. However, here's what we need to talk about. Here's where I think this does become an issue. Where are we currently when you talk about having standards and respect for particularly classrooms, right? Going to class, making sure you're dressed appropriately like Deion wants his players to do. Where are we, though, in the state of college athletics? Well, in the state of college athletics, we are in the era of the classroom being devalued, and you can disagree all you want, but the classroom is now being devalued because of a paycheck, because of NIL, because of the portal. Students are not going to colleges anymore, and I'm not saying that used to be 100% this way, but Diesel, we've devalued the classroom. Students aren't going to campuses because they want to go get a great education from Colorado. They could care less, the majority.
If I'm Carson Beck and I'm making $4 million next year at Miami, why would I ever set foot on campus?
Well, that's, and again, I don't want to lump everybody in the same category.
Right. I mean that in general sense. If I'm insert player A, B, C, D through triple, whatever. Why would I show up on campus other than on game days and during practices? Because I'm not here to get an education, Coach. I'm here to make $1 million in NIL money every single year. But if I don't do the things that I need to do to keep my grades up, I'm not going to be eligible to play. See, that's what Deion Sanders is saying. You want to do all these things to bring attention to yourself off the field. And if you do that, now it becomes my problem because I got to deal with you not being available. I got to deal with the professor in my email inbox and calling me saying, you know, why is this player showing his ding dong on a Zoom class session. So Dan brings up an interesting point. Dan B over on the he's watching on YouTube right now, by the way. He says, I have a feeling there is no way the coaching department can take away NIL money from a kid. The way things are right now, if rules could be put in place, game on.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting point you bring up there, Dan, because you're right. I don't think there's anything a coaching staff can do to take away a kid's NIL money, something that he's earning from outside of the football program. If it's Lenore Sellers getting paid $500,000 and getting to drive around in a G-Wagon for a year, I don't know. I don't think you can take that $500,000 away.
Yeah.
Now, what you can take away is their percentage of the revenue sharing, I think. And that's what I wonder if this is what Deion Sanders is alluding to. Players are entitled to a percentage of revenue sharing. And I wonder if that's where Deion says, we're going to take your money away.
Yeah, but here's the problem. This is just another flaw back to NIL. I mean, regardless of if it's revenue shared dollars or the NIL contract, this is the problem. NIL was never built to be based on performance on the field, which was an issue. Sure. It should have 100% been based on the field performance, just like, I don't know, an NFL contract, right? When you have a job, you're paid based on your performance. NIL was never designed that way. It was always designed to be completely separate from on the field, and that's the biggest issue with NIL. Yeah. You talk about being able to take it away based on, what they do in the classroom or how they dress or how they, uphold themselves. Diesel, guess what? DB's probably right. That's probably all talk because of the freaking way NIL was created, and it's never going to get better in my mind from that aspect.
The only way to make it better is to make these athletes employees.
That's correct.
To put them on contract. Now the contract states, if you don't do what you're asked to do as a student athlete here at South Carolina, Colorado, Michigan, wherever, we will start docking your pay.
Yeah.
Like we will start taking, we'll start at this, and it'll upgrade to this, and this, and we'll start taking your money away. And it's just like our conversation yesterday about Anthony Edwards. The dude makes $42 million a year. To him, $285,000 in fees is nothing. It's nothing. But at some point you start to realize, man, wouldn't it be nice if I had that $285,000 in my pocket? I could have gone out and bought some insane sports car for $285,000 if I had wanted to. Now I can't do that because of my actions. So I think, Cole, we're still in that gray area between where we were and where we ultimately need to get, as much as people don't like it and don't want these student athletes to become employees of the university. We've come too far. There is no going back. There is no undoing the things that we have done. The only thing we can do is make them employees and put them on contracts so that we can put terms in the contract.
Texter from the 344 chimes in, which you can do, Utolos, at 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Save the number in your phone while you're at it and get rid of the old one. One number now does it all. Texter says, what if the player has an NIL deal with a wife-beater company or slides company? Well, guess what? That throws a wrench in things, right, Texter? I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen.
Is there such a thing as a company that only makes slides? I mean, slides would be Adidas or Nike or Under Armour or whatever, right? And a lot of different companies make sleeveless wife beater T-shirts, right? I don't know that there's a brand. Let's say like they're making a deal with the brand, not with the type of clothing. So I'm not sure that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can't think of any companies that specifically and exclusively sell wife beaters and slides.
Interesting text from the 441. Texter says primetime was all about the name on the back of the jersey, not the front when he played. Now he expects them to act differently. And that goes back to my point or my question, Texter, earlier in the segment about where did this come from? It could have come from a coach down the line somewhere that instilled good values and a good upbringing in Deion, Or later on in life, as everybody does, he matured differently in a way that he said, hey, if I ever have my own program, I don't want to be like I was. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody at Deion's age, nobody in their early 20s has their head on straight and everything figured out. So, look, do you blame him with that kind of money that he had at that early age, especially when he played in Dallas? I mean, on the biggest stage, I don't know that I do.
It's apples and oranges. He was 18 at the time. Now he's 50, 55 years old. He was a player. Now he's a coach. He's gone through the professional ranks. He's not the same person anymore. So why can't someone use the mistakes that they made as a young, dumb 18-year-old and say, now that I'm 50, 55 years old and I'm in a position of authority, why can't I use my experiences to positively affect other people so they don't make the same changes I made? It's like saying you can't have any position of authority, whether it be like a pastor or something like that, if you're not a perfect person who's never, ever done anything wrong in your entire life. Right. Oh, you got a speeding ticket? Guess what? You can't go to the seminary. Oh, you got this? Guess what? You can't. That's not how things work, man.
Yeah, and look, I think that Deion now leading the program the way that he is should not be indicative of how he was as a player. Again, how he was as a player, that was, 30 years ago now since Deion Sanders played in the NFL. And, you find me a person at that age that was perfect, because I know I wasn't, still nowhere close to it. I just think that at some point in your life, like Deion has, he's gotten older and he really does. He understands where we're at. He understands, I think, Diesel, my opinion, I think he understands how important it is to mold and influence young people in the right way, right? Because, I mean, heck, how many kids don't have an upbringing? How many of those players don't have someone at home who brought them up the right way and tying a tie or changing a tire or grilling a steak? Yeah. I mean, it's so we take it for granted, but I say kudos to Deion, because there's a lot of people, a lot of those players, I'm sure, that are in that locker room that have never been brought up in a way. And one day, guess what? One day they may hate what Deion's doing now. One day they'll be thankful that they were brought up under a guy like Deion now, love him or hate him, that really emphasizes, Diesel, the values and representing yourself in the way that you should be. I applaud him for it.
It comes down to two things, to two options. Would you rather be young and wild and stupid and win 2 games a year, do what you want to do, not what the coaching staff knows that you should do to be successful? Just do what you want to do, Wear slides, wear gym shorts without any underwear while you're on a video stream. Wear this, wear that. Do put your head in a hoodie and never take your hood off when you're in class. Do what you want to do. That's fine. And then win 2 games a year and not make the NFL and be forgotten about and go back to your crappy hometown. Or you could put on some regular shoes. You could wear some pants that don't have the athletic logo on them. You can wear a T-shirt, a jacket, a collared shirt, whatever it may be, that doesn't have the university logo on it. You do all the right things, be disciplined in every facet of your life, because right now you're playing for your future. You're not playing for your right now. You're playing for your future.
Well,
so do all the things you need to do to get to where you want to go so you can make a lot more money down the line.
With sports, Diesel, I think the biggest thing that people forget about is we get so consumed with wins and losses. And I think there are a lot of really good coaches out there in this world, in this country, at the high school level, the college level, and the pro level, who understand that coaching at the end of the day is more than just wins and losses. Look, ultimately, you get paid and you get hired to win football games, right? But I think there are so many people who forget why a lot of people coach. A lot of people coach to influence young men in certain ways. And regardless of what Deion did at a young age, I think what he's doing now, I wish every single coach at the high school level acted that way. I wish every coach at the college level acted that way. I wish every coach at the pro level acted that way. And, a lot of people say, well, what Deion does wouldn't work in the pros. Maybe it wouldn't. But I can tell you this, there would be a crowd who would respect the way that he is trying to lead that group of men. Some wouldn't, like it, the Antonio Browns of the world, but I do think it's valued more than people realize.
I got a text here, and I believe this is JD arguing back and forth with me. Are Crocs slides? What could they wear Crocs instead? Look, man, I think he's trying to make a point. He's not specifically talking about one specific style of shoes, but no, Crocs are not slides. Crocs are different from slides. In slides, your toes slide into and are visible on the other side of the strap that goes across the slide. Crocs are not slides, but that's not the point. Stop arguing something that's not the point.
Texter says, I don't think Primetime ever said he was wrong about anything he did at FSU. Texter says, I can't wait for Deion to end up at Dallas and try to implement this stuff on grown men. And again, I know some people just believe that it won't work. It may not, but I don't know that we'll find out. We'll get to that later in the show, Diesel. But in the very next segment, we react to what we saw last night. We'll get to the phone lines because we do have a caller on hold, and then we'll look at the NFL playoffs round 2, Monday Night Football. One side competitive, one was not. Diesel, what do they say? They are who we thought they were. They were who we thought they are. However you want to phrase it, Sam Darnold, well, I hate to tell you, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Sam Darnold is who we thought he was. And, he won 14 games. Had a really good regular season. Minnesota was one of the best teams all season long. However, last night and the week before, we saw a trend that looked like the Sam Darnold that we all knew very well. Diesel, that was the big concern that I had. That's why I took the Rams last night right before the game. Mm-hmm. I did not trust Sam Darnold, and he was absolutely vanilla, I guess I would say, last night.
It's a very polite way to say terrible.
Yeah, it was polite, wasn't it? I was trying to be nice today. I was trying to be nice. Vanilla, terrible, god-awful, putrid, however you want to call it. Sam Darnold was not good last night. This was one of those games, Diesel, where you watch the game, you sit down, kickoff happens, and within the first 6 minutes of the game, you know who's going to win.
Yeah.
Like if you have that feel and you understand like what's happening, the game was never close last night, even though the score was 27-9.
Yeah.
Minnesota was just awful.
It started with Matthew Stafford going 6 for 6 for like 64 yards and a touchdown on the opening drive. And then the opening Vikings possession, it went sack, and then what? Tackle for loss, 3-and-out punt. Like you just get a sense of like, oh, okay, this is probably not going to go well for the Vikings.
No, and it never turned. Like sometimes in the second half, Diesel teams they'll put together a better second half. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times last night for a total of 82 yards. I'll say this. Matthew Stafford was really good. No interceptions. He took care of the football. But I think what I take away most from last night, the Rams' defensive line was absolutely just nasty last night. They got after the quarterback. Their entire defense just balled out. It helps that Sam Darnold looked like the Carolina Panthers Sam Darnold. But
wait, what was that number you gave me again? 9 sacks for 82 yards?
For a loss of 82 yards.
That is negative 9 yards per sack. What?
It's bad.
What? If this is not a prime reason to stop playing from the shotgun and not drop back 10 yards on every drop back, I mean, if you've been sacked that many times, it just behooves you to go under center. If you're going to get sacked again, you're only going to lose like 3 yards instead of 9.
He was running for his life all night. Again, LA's defense, man, they were so good last night. They were so deep. Jared Verse, the touchdown he had, I love a defensive touchdown. The Rams were terrific last night. The Vikings were not. And it's so wild, though, Diesel, to talk about a Minnesota Vikings team that won 14 games. Like, think about that. How impressive in the National Football League it is to win 14 games.
Well, how many of those did Sam win? Because JJ went down. When did JJ
before
McCarthy
the season
go down?
started?
It was before the season started. Okay.
Yeah. So Sam Darnold was terrific. I mean, 4,500 yards, just absolutely lighting it up. And then I didn't know last night if his last name was Romo because in the playoffs, he absolutely was horrible. 1 interception last night, again, sacked 9 times. A QBR last night of 13.6, so that's not going to get it done. I say this a lot, and Diesel, this is something that Jimmy Johnson said a long time ago when he was coaching the Cowboys. In big games, playoff games like last night, sometimes it's not about who makes the bigger plays. Sometimes it's about who limits the mistakes, and that's what the Rams did last night. They limited the mistakes. Didn't turn the ball over. Matthew Stafford took care of the football. He was really good. And I'll tell you this, the Rams, are they going to go beat Philadelphia? I don't know. But their defensive line will be a problem for anybody. So now that the wild card weekend is in the books, I thought a really good weekend of wild card games.
Yeah, we have a couple pieces of audio here to play from this game. Let's start with Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell on the sacks that Sam Darnold took, talking about when you're making this many mistakes, you're not going to win football games.
I thought we gave up some pressure. Some.
You think?
A couple of those there where they were able to scheme up a guy here or there that on paper you have accounted for, but it doesn't matter on paper. And then I did think, there were some other times where, we're not going to be able to win the game on one play, and me included. But there was just some plays there that if we go back and look at it, I'm sure, everybody in that room will acknowledge a play here or there, and just far too many negatives really over the last 2 weeks, just too many negative plays that set you behind.
So it sounds like they were coaching to pick up huge chunks of yards on each play, trying to go for broke. I mean, how many times have you ever played football, video games? If you're going for the home run ball play after play after play, they're going to learn that that's what you're trying to do. And if they take that away, you're toast.
Troy Aikman said it so many times last night on the broadcast. Sam Darnold held onto the football way too long. And there was one drive where he held onto the ball a long time. I believe it was a strip sack touchdown. Very next drive, first play, holds onto the ball again and gets sacked for like -8 yards. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was playoffs, big stage Diesel, but he was not ready for the big stage last night. The Rams were. We talked about that. There was no really – they've been there before. Sean McVay's been there. I did love the audio, though, cut two that you have, Diesel, about, like, coming together. We know what happened when the Saints came together after Katrina. Remember that? I mean, they went on a run and won the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not comparing this fire to Katrina, but them rallying around, this is one of those clips of audio that kind of gives you goosebumps.
I'm really proud of our team tonight. I thought, with everything that's going on with our community, everything that these guys have gone through, I thought they epitomized and they represented the city the right way. You talk about sports offering a platform for people to come together, offer a little bit of temporary relief. And I thought the way that our team competed tonight was what it looked like, to stay connected, to stay together. Just the fight, the spirit, the resilience, all the different things that are great traits that this team has really built through the challenges that they've gone through over the course of this season, and I'm really proud of them.
And then, Diesel, before we look ahead to round two, here's what's really fascinating. You have this on here. Troy Aikman was talking about it. Rich Eisen was talking about it. You have J.J. McCarthy, who was drafted by the Vikings in April of 2024. Darnold was terrific all season. And then the last two games of the season, Sam Darnold just looked as if he forgot to play quarterback. What do? Do you re-sign the guy? Do you still believe in the guy? Or do you just hand the keys of the franchise over to a rookie, basically, because he hadn't played meaningful football? I think they're in a very tough situation in terms of what to do at quarterback.
Yeah, here's that audio of Troy Aikman. What was really fascinating about this, and we'll talk about it after this is over, is that Rich Eisen has the exact opposite opinion from Troy Aikman here. Here's Troy.
How do you think these last couple of performances will impact what ultimately happens for Sam Darnold?
Big impact. Yeah, these last 2 weeks will have a big impact on his future, not only what that may look like for the Minnesota Vikings, but a big impact on what that may look like for him going to another team. Is there going to be the big payout that looked inevitable a few weeks ago? May not be quite as big as what Sam or others thought. These are the games that matter. He knows that. Every quarterback that plays in this league knows that. And when you get into these games, that's what you're judged on. And it's not all on him. There were a lot of people that contributed to them not playing better last week and then again this week. But ultimately, the quarterback, especially more so in today's game than ever before, the quarterback is expected to overcome those things. And so it's a tough way to finish. I said it during the ball game. It doesn't really matter if you win 14 games. Yeah. Not that you got to go win the Super Bowl because only one team gets to do that. But when you don't even win a playoff game, you're lumped in with all the teams really that didn't even make the postseason. So this is a tough one. And for Kevin O'Connell with a good team again this year, had one 2 years ago, to come away without a playoff victory is a hard pill to swallow.
He's 100% right.
Yeah,
100% right. Ask me. I'm a Cowboys fan. I've dealt with this every year. Diesel, you're fired based on what you do in January. I mean, it's simple. What you do in January determines how good of a coach you are. I mean, I know it's just 2 games, but I think Troy's right. I mean, I think it has to impact the decision making. I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy's going to go win the Super Bowl, but boy, that's a black eye.
And it depends on if Sam Darnold himself and Sam Darnold's agents and the people that they talk to look at Sam Darnold as a starting quarterback in the NFL, or if they look at him as a backup. If you look at him as a backup, You may throw him considerably less money than what he wants, but you say, hey, man, you're on this roster. You're on this team. We want you on this team. We appreciate what you did for us last year. We want you as a Minnesota Viking. But if he fancies himself, and he's 27, 28 years old, if he fancies himself still in the prime of his career, I mean, who's going to throw him a lot of money at this point?
Well,
who needs a quarterback that badly that's going to throw that at Sam Darnold, who just got blitzed out of his mind in the last 2 games of the season for the Minnesota Vikings? He had a phenomenal regular season, and you can't take that away from him. But in that case, Cole, it kind of makes him look like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
You know what? I think he is a starting quarterback in the league. I don't think he'll be the starting quarterback for the Vikings. I really don't. I just don't think they can afford it for what he's going to demand, whether that's fair or not. So it's a tough situation.
Compare that to Rich Eisen. We heard at the tail end of his show that came on right before us. Rich believes that the Vikings absolutely should re-sign him.
And I don't know, man. I don't know what's it worth to you. It's a lot of money if you tag them or however you restructure. I don't know. It's a big risk. I'd say let's get JJ in there and try to upstart that franchise.
Well, who do they have behind him, as the backup quarterback next year?
Besides JJ or behind JJ?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I mean, there's got to be a third quarterback on the roster somewhere on the practice squad or something. Texter says, to me, it's just so weird how some players thrive in the playoffs and some fall on their faces, or in Darnold's case, to have such a great regular season to look like that.
It happens, man. It does. You can't prescribe it because it happens every year. I mean, I'm a victim of it. I literally have watched it now for almost 30 years, but it's tough. So now divisional rounds are set, Diesel. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Our first look at those games Saturday, beginning at 4:30, the AFC divisional round playoff game, Houston Texans, who really put it on the Chargers, as you and I talked about yesterday. Houston will go to Kansas City. Saturday night, Washington Commanders will go to Detroit. Just the 2 Saturday games. Texans, Chiefs, Commanders, Lions. Tell me if you disagree. I know this is going with the favorites here, but my 2 leans are Chiefs and Lions as the heavy favorites. Kansas City's favored by 8. Detroit's favored by 10. That's big point spreads in the divisional round of the postseason. So 2 games Saturday that hopefully are closer than Vegas is expecting them to be. On Sunday, you also have 2 games. This is where I get excited. Sunday, 3 o'clock, Diesel, Rams, Eagles. That game is in Philadelphia, and the Eagles are favored by 6.5. And then Sunday night, I believe the game of the year in the NFL. Sign me up, tie me to the chair, pour popcorn down my throat, 6:30, Baltimore, Buffalo, Sunday night. The winner goes the AFC Championship.
Can I give you a weird food thing about myself? I don't love eating popcorn. I don't like popcorn, and this is going to blow your mind. I don't really like mac and cheese either.
So I'll tell you this. This is kind of getting like personal with health. I love popcorn. However, have you ever heard of diverticulitis?
Yeah.
I haven't. So if you eat like seeds, small things with kernels, anything like is
that when you get a plant growing in your stomach?
Well, it feels like it. It feels like it. And basically without getting, really technical and going into the depths of it, people who know it's one of the most painful things in the world. So little small things like seeds, popcorn, I have to stay away from it. I love popcorn, especially if it's like drowned in butter.
So when you were a kid, when somebody would say like, don't eat that watermelon seed, a watermelon will grow in your stomach.
Really
You're like, oh, it
really happened. It really happened.
Woo, it's scary.
So any other thoughts, Diesel, before we move on? I just think that the Ravens-Bills Sunday night could have the potential.
Yeah.
It feels like a Super Bowl. It's an AFC divisional round, and it's a 1-point spread in favor of, have you looked yet? Guess who's favored by 1, Ravens at Bills Sunday night?
I'm guessing the Ravens are favored on the road.
They're favored by 1. You'd be correct.
Interesting. Pick'em game.
It's a pick'em game.
It's a pick'em.
But I'm telling you, man, that game. I cannot wait.
Can we get a Blizzard game? Wouldn't
Yeah,
that be
let's
great?
do
A
it.
Blizzard game in the playoffs. This
Let's
is going
do
to
it.
be awesome. When we come back, Cole, you had an opportunity earlier today to chat with the brand new North Greenville. It's not the Crusaders anymore.
Trailblazers.
The Trailblazers.
It's hard, isn't it?
The North Greenville Trailblazers head football coach Nate Garner. We're going to play that audio back for you on the other side of the break right here on the Fan Upstate. We started off the show talking about Deion Sanders and the rules that he is implementing at Colorado for the spring semester. We'll start the next hour also talking about Deion Sanders, but in a very, very different context. Before we get you there, let's go to this. Cole, you had a great conversation earlier today with the brand new and 10th head football coach at North Greenville University, Nate Garner. And he's got a nice little pedigree on him.
He really does, man. So North Greenville's Jeff Farrington stepped down a couple of months ago as the head football coach. And, it was going to be an interesting hire for North Greenville Diesel as a Division II school, a Division II program. A lot of times, at the Division II level, you can't get the best guys in the world. However, I think what helped them more than people will admit in this hire is that over across the street, they have one of the best, if not the best coaches in Division II baseball and Landon Powell. So I think Landon Powell kind of set an expectation. As you said, they hired Nate Garner today. North Greenville did as their 10th head coach. Played at Arkansas. He played 7 seasons for the Miami Dolphins. He played with Dan Campbell as Dan Campbell was in Miami at the time, and has to your point, a great resume. Now, he spent the last 3 years in Gaffney at Limestone under Mike Furry, who's now at South Carolina, and Jericho Cotry. And Mike Furry spoke really highly of Nate Garner. So North Greenville's Nate Garner, we posted this on our socials today, and here was his not introductory press conference, but following the press conference, the media that was there did get to ask him a few questions.
Good. Congratulations. Obviously, big day for you guys and your family. First impressions on what drew you to North Greenville?
Man, just the opportunity to lead men in faith and on the field. This is a great team, great administration here, and it's just a great opportunity.
Is this your first opportunity as a head coach?
Yes, this is my first opportunity as a head coach, and I'm very fortunate and blessed that they selected me.
In your opinion, what is your coaching style and what is your kind of vision for North Greenville?
My vision is to go out and try to get a lot of wins and also develop men of faith and character that are transformational leaders on and off the field.
Coach, what you learned last year spending time under Jericho Cotry, a program that's been really well with Mike Furry before that. I'm sure that helped you a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I learned under Mike and Jericho. Those are two great head coaches. I'm going to model myself a lot after them. They're amazing human beings. They've been assets and allies to me in this process, been at my beck and call whenever I had a question or about anything that was going on. And I'm really appreciative for both those guys.
Did that help in terms of recruiting, being down here in this area and kind of learning the ropes a little bit when it comes to this trail?
Oh, yeah, it helped me a lot. Helped me learn the logistics of recruiting in this area, how you have to deal with the scholarship budgets and everything. They both, like I said, I've been able to be abreast of a lot of that in the past 3 years down there. And it's been a very, very fortunate situation to be in.
As a head coach, you have to see the 10,000-foot view. You have to see everything. Talk about what's got you ready for that position.
What's gotten me ready for that position is just trying to develop my mindset, my culture that I'm going to lead these guys with over the last, honestly, my whole life. I'll just give you that. I grew up, my dad's a pastor, my grandfather's a pastor, grew up in the church, and I've always kind of had that servant leadership mentality, even through college, like Coach Nutt said. I tried to just be a humble guy and go out there and demonstrate that leadership that way. So having this opportunity is going to be an amazing opportunity to just develop these young men and help them grow.
What's your first impression on the team and the talent that you inherit?
Oh, it's great talent. The Gulf South is a great conference, and obviously they kind of beat up on us at Limestone the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to have a chance to work with some of these guys and keep them growing and developing and get into the Conference of Carolinas. I'm excited about it.
The change in conference have anything to do and any sway at all for you to? Gulf South's brutal.
Gulf South is brutal, but I would have taken this if there was something Gulf South. Like, this is an amazing institution. Every single person I met around here has been absolutely nothing but a genuine human being and been the best version of themselves. It's amazing.
For you have coaches, have influences. Who's been your biggest influence?
Man, I have a lot of those. So obviously Coach Nutt, he was a great impact in my life. He honored my scholarship, and I played one play my senior year in high school. I broke my foot first play of the season. So something you'll hear me talk about a lot is adversity. So I've overcome a lot of adversity throughout my life, and he stood by my side and honored my scholarship. And I went through adversity at Arkansas too. I had an injury my first year, missed out my whole freshman year, and ended up not even getting a chance to really start until my 5th year. And they still stuck by me all the way through that. I kept working and getting better every single day, and got the opportunity to go out and play that year. And didn't think I had a chance to play in the NFL. Then I got a chance for a couple of agents to reach out to me after my last game, and then ended up getting drafted. So that was an amazing opportunity. Got a chance to go play with the Dolphins for 7 years and spend time down there. And it was, like I said, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to play at that level and to learn from those guys. So like Coach Sperano was one of my biggest mentors up until he passed a few years ago. He was actually one of the reasons why I was trying to get into coaching. He was trying to help me guide that path early on before he had passed. His son has actually been an ally to me. We met last year and spent probably 3 or 4 hours talking at the combine. So that just, I've modeled myself off a lot of great coaches that I've been around, like Dan Campbell up at Detroit. Like obviously he was at the Dolphins with us. I got to know him really well. Corey Proctor and him, the guy that Coach Lowry mentioned, that is good friends with. We're good friends as well. Him and Dan are great friends. So I'd love to be able to keep getting back in touch with him and just all the people I've been around. Like I got to spend some time around Coach Payton down at the Saints when I was down there. So just try to model myself out to all those guys.
North Greenville's coming off their first winning season in the past 10 years. How do you help make sure that winning stays the norm up here in Tigerville?
Just keep pushing that culture, man. Keep pushing a winning culture, demand for excellence, and keep improving every single day.
Coach, how long did it take you to realize the hotbed that you're in when it comes to high school talent?
It wasn't very long once I got up here, man. It was a whirlwind when I first got up here in April of 22. Was it 21 or 22? 22. Sorry. When I first got up here in April 22, it was a whirlwind, man. We jumped right into spring ball, but that offseason, you can go around and just see how much talent there is in the state of South Carolina. If you're a school in this state, you shouldn't have to go out of the state to get kids. You can get them all here.
You plan to make that pretty
I'm going to try to do that. You got to be heavy on South Carolina. Now, listen, sometimes you got to go out of state to find a really good dude or something like that, but I want to make South Carolina our –
Diesel, that's pretty strong, that last thing he said. If you're a school in this state, you shouldn't have to go out of state to get kids. I love that quote because we've talked about how many times have you and I talked about that, whether it be D2 schools, Clemson or South Carolina, you got to recruit South Carolina if you're here. And we've talked a lot about Shane Beamer putting up a wall, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a focused guy. I think he's prepped. I think he's ready. I think Nate Garner's going to find some success. I mean, Look, this is the proving ground that young coaches, a lot of them get their first opportunity to be a head coach. You do well here. Who knows what happens to you in your future? But obviously, best of luck to Nate and NGU next year.
He's a very good coach, great hire for North Greenville in my mind, getting someone who has a lot of experience. Speaking of experience, we'll get back into the Deion Sanders conversation on the other side. Some breaking news on Tom Allen's contract at Clemson, as Zach chimed in on the stream about. I saw that on Twitter. We'll get into those contract details and get back into what is buzzing right now, Diesel, in sports world, and that's Deion potentially going to Dallas. That's next. We're going to get back into the Deion Sanders conversation, Diesel, because, I don't know if you've noticed this lately or not, but if you turn on a sports show, they're talking about Deion and the Cowboys. I, being a Cowboys fan, I'll give you my thoughts on it. Want to hear from you, Tolos, as well. What's Tolos stand for? I was asked that yesterday. Turn on, leave on. That's what you listeners are. You're Tolos. Turn it on, leave it on every day, 3 to 7 p.m. right here on the Fan Upstate. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. But breaking news, Diesel, Clemson AD Graham Neff has presented a new contract, and it has been approved for defensive coordinator Tom Allen. 3 years, $1.9 million in total salary the first season, and an increase of $100,000 each of the next 2 seasons, plus the standard bonus structure. It's official. We talked about it the past 2 days. Clemson has its next DC.
Outstanding hire. I think this is good. I mean, like I said yesterday, anytime you can put more and more head coaches and guys with that level of experience on your roster, it just opens things up to flow better, right? Dabo doesn't have to worry about Wes Goodwin's defense. He doesn't have to worry about somebody else's offense that doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have to coach up his coaches. His job is to oversee everything and make sure everything is running as smoothly as possible. All the biggest and best programs are doing exactly this, hiring former head coaches to handle their area of expertise, and then all the actual head coach of the team has to do is oversee.
Loading up on experience is Dabo Swinney. So it'll be really interesting to see, man. I think it's a great hire. I really do. I think Dabo hit a home run with this one, bringing in Tom Allen from Penn State. I heard that Tom Allen may have had some family in the area. I don't know if, that played a factor into his decision, but a very interesting move, Diesel. You just don't see those type of moves happen often. Want to let you know that we do have Rajay Harris, former ECU Burns running back. Rajay Harris played high school at Burns. Played football. I can't talk for some reason. Rajay Harris played football at Burns High School. He also played at East Carolina University. He has declared for the NFL draft. He'll join us in the very next segment. So that'll be an awesome interview with a local running back who has declared for the NFL draft coming up in the very next segment. However, Diesel, Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys. Adam Schefter reported yesterday that the Cowboys have spoken to Deion Sanders. I'll give you my thoughts, but what was your initial reaction when you heard this news?
Well, let's hear it directly from Adam Schefter, and then we can react to that. Here is Adam.
The gigantic story of the day, Dallas has an opening at head coach. I thought it was interesting, Troy said maybe not coveted. We get that it's still Dallas and there's going to be interest. Where are they looking?
Well, it is the Cowboys, and they have spoken with, amongst other candidates, Deion Sanders. There is a mutual interest there. And I go back to about a year and a half ago when I had a former general manager say to me, watch Deion Sanders. There's a real possibility he may be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Well, there is mutual interest. We'll see if that amps up. But the two sides have talked, they have touched base, and we'll see if it goes anywhere.
You know what I found interesting about that clip is the fact that they had to qualify. Well, it is still a coveted job. It's still Dallas, right? I mean, so
is it?
So there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of subtext in there saying that maybe this isn't the most desirable position for a head coach. Maybe it's the shine is off that star just a little bit, so to speak. And at the same time, it is still Dallas. You've got to deal with Jerry Jones as your owner, as your GM. You got a significant number of hurdles that have really hampered every head coach that's been there since Jerry Jones bought the team.
Sure.
And but at the same time, it's still the Dallas Cowboys head coaching job, right? There's only 32 of these jobs available, and this is by far one of the most coveted jobs amongst them. You could put it right up there with being the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, as being the head coach of the New England Patriots, the handful of programs and the handful of franchises that have history and pedigree. This is a job that a lot of people want, I'm sure, even though you're coming into a situation that has a lot of red flags.
There's been so much conversation with Deion. We talked about it to lead the show today, Diesel, with how Deion Sanders does things, right? There's been a lot of conversation as to the way that Deion does things at the college level, and if that would translate to the pros. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Travis, this morning about this on the phone. We were talking about Deion, and he said, look, I don't think it would work in the pros, and maybe it wouldn't. However, what you do have to find entertaining is that this marriage, this relationship, it would be the best thing that ever happened for guys like me and you, for guys on ESPN, for people who are in sports, radio, sports entertainment, because it may work, it may not, but it would be fun to cover. Deion Sanders in the NFL, if those grown men in the NFL would respond and respect Deion the same way the college kids do, I think that's very interesting, Diesel. And to your point about being a coveted job, there's no one better to ask about the Cowboys' job being coveted than Troy Aikman, who played 12 seasons. I thought what he said was really interesting.
I don't know that that's accurate. I mean, really? I do think the Cowboys are obviously a high-profile team. Whoever is head coach of that team is certainly going to draw a lot of attention. But I think most football people that take over as a head coach, they want to do it on their terms.
That's fair.
That's hard to do. And it's, if you take a Dan Campbell, for instance, is Dan Campbell if he's with the Dallas Cowboys? It's hard to imagine that he is. It's hard to imagine that a lot of these coaches might be. So, I love the Dallas Cowboys. I played there for 12 years. I wish them well. But to say that it's a coveted job, I'm not sure I would necessarily agree with it.
Woo! We're going to get a sense of how adaptable Deion Sanders is as a coach. I mean, he's only been at 2 other schools, right? He was at Jackson State and HBCU, which is a very different situation than he's in right now in Colorado at the Power 5 level and getting a ton of attention. And then, of course, it's very, very different when you head off to the NFL. It's just a completely different beast. Different. So,
but for Troy to say that though, Diesel,
like
the Cowboy, Troy Aikman,
the Cowboy saying, if I was a head coach, I wouldn't take that job. I mean, the job's not going to stay open for long, Cole. No. I've told the story that was shared with me about a radio station in a large market that had a job opportunity come open, and the management said, guess what? We're going to cut the salary in half because we're going to save money on this day part. And staff said, what are you doing? Nobody's going to take this job. Nobody's going to even apply for this job if you cut the salary in half. And the manager said, watch. He put the job out there on the internet, and boom, dozens and dozens and dozens of people started sending in their resumes and their air checks to be on that radio station in that big city, despite the fact that the contract and the money sucked. Well, the situation that you're going into here in Dallas may suck, but it's still head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And if you can just hold on long enough, maybe Jerry Jones will kick the bucket.
I don't know that it's the situation sucks as much as it is finding the right guy who can adapt in the situation, Diesel. And we're going to get to the phones in a second, but the situation is so unique in that you have to have a yes man that doesn't want to do things his way, right? And if you have a yes man, the yes man may not view it as a sucky situation. However, Deion Sanders isn't viewed as a yes man, and that's why I find it extremely challenging that this will happen. In fact, I don't think it will.
Wasn't that the criticism of Dave Canales when he took the job in Carolina? He's a yes man. He'll do whatever it takes. He'll say yes to whatever it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. And he's going to be dealing with a very difficult owner in Dave Tepper. And now you've got a very similar situation. Here's the thing about being a yes man, especially under Jerry Jones. You could do everything Jerry Jones tells you to do and wants you to do, and you fail, and then he fires you for it.
Yeah, listen, he's fired Jimmy Johnson. He's fired coaches who have been very, very successful in the past situation. What do you, Tolo, say? You can text the show 844-FAN-PHONE. Also, the phone lines are open, 844-326-3663. Blake wants to chime in on the conversation. What's up, Blake?
Hey, guys. I was just talking about this at work with a couple buddies. I got a feeling that Jerry's actually going through the old Al Davis effect. He's got to let go. Let the football people handle the football business. I think Deion Sanders is the perfect candidate for that. I think he's going to trust him enough to where he'll just say, you know what, I'm going to let you do it. Or he's going to tell him, look, let me do it or I'm gone.
Well, Blake, let me ask you this. What makes you think Jerry and his age will all of a sudden one day wake up and change the way he's been for all these years?
I think it'd be different for Deion because Deion is Deion. Granted, he's probably still going to keep his finger on the pulse, but that's been the problem with all the Cowboys teams lately. You get to the playoffs, and Jerry's like, he ramps it up, and he's just putting all this pressure on the team. Why not just let them go out there and have fun like they have been all season? Let them do what they do.
Blake, if you were an angel on the shoulder of Deion Sanders, would you advise him to take the Dallas Cowboys job or stay at Colorado?
I tell him to stay, but at the same time, I tell him, if you go take it, set your rules. Tell him to let me handle it. Give me a season to let me handle it, and then you can do what you want to do.
That's interesting. Thanks for
stuff,
the phone
Blake.
call.
Really
there,
good
Blake.
stuff.
You know, maybe it comes down to, again, I live and I think in movie quotes, right? Did you ever see the movie Days of Thunder?
Yeah, I did.
Remember when,
believe it or not.
remember when they were doing some testing out on the track and the crew chief, Harry Hogg, said, give me 20 laps your way and then give me 20 laps my way. And then you see the tires side by side that they've just taken off the car. And he says, look at this one. This is his way. Tires are torn all to shreds. And here's my way. Tires are still in good shape. And we were 15 seconds faster.
Well, you know what it all comes down to is, and Blake, I thought it was a really good call from Blake there. I agree with things that Blake said, but I think, Diesel, what it all comes down to is Jerry Jones going to change and do an about face? I don't see it. I don't know. You know,
He may say that he's willing to do that for you,
yeah, but
then
what's that really? I don't know, man. I wouldn't bet on it. Let me say that. I wouldn't bet that Jerry's going to wake up one day and change.
No.
Now, could somebody change maybe the way that Jerry runs certain parts of the organization? Maybe so. Will McClay's done that a lot as director of player personnel, but I don't know. Deion, would he be a great coach? I think he'd be a great coach in the NFL, but would he be the fit with Jerry Jones? I'm not sure of it.
I just had a light bulb go off in my head. Why doesn't somebody tell Jerry Jones that he should be head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? He could be the very first owner, GM, coach. Think about the synergy he could have as the leader in all facets of this franchise. Come on, that's a brilliant idea, Jerry. You do it.
Well, he said he was going to in that AI video. And by the way, Michael Stefakis sent me that earlier today, the one I sent you.
Yeah.
And he said, you don't want to play this on air. But
no, those are fun, though.
Billy Horn wants to weigh in on the conversation. What's up, Billy?
Not much, fellas. How we doing?
Good,
So,
Billy.
Cole, I'm sorry that you are a Dallas Cowboy fan, but
End the call right
Jerry
there, Billy.
Jones-
That's all you need to say.
Jerry Jones is not going to change. Jerry Jones is a billionaire. He got to be a billionaire by making Jerry Jones decisions. He will make every decision he makes on the bottom dollar, not to win Super Bowls, not to be relevant in the NFL. And here's the problem. Deion told you what it would take to be coach in the NFL. He would need his son as quarterback.
Yeah.
And Dallas cannot afford to give up the house to get the number one pick to make Deion happy. So your idea of getting Deion Sanders to coach the Dallas Cowboys, throw that one out the window to begin with.
I agree with you, Billy.
I don't think Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders could get along together. And if you don't think Jerry Jones is owner, GM, and coach, ask Jimmy Johnson how that went. And gentlemen, I'll listen to you off air. You have a good one.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you,
Look,
Billy.
I think Billy made a lot of good points. Jerry, here's what people have to remember. Jerry is involved. Yes, he's 100% involved. However, do I put every ounce, Diesel, of blame on Jerry? No, because at the end of the day, let's take, for example, that Packers loss last year in the wild card round. Jerry didn't allow 540 yards of offense. Jerry didn't throw interceptions. Jerry didn't fumble the football. So, yeah, you can put blame on him. That's fine. I do put blame on him. I don't put all the blame on him. There are other factors.
Just don't be a Dallas area radio host and put blame on Jerry Jones because he doesn't like that.
That's great, man.
So Dallas sits at number 12 in the NFL draft by virtue of going 7-10 this season. they would have to get up to 2 to have a chance to go draft Shedeur Sanders, which means they either have to sell off a lot of pieces and give up a lot of picks for years to come, which sets them so far back. They're going to be in the same boat the Carolina Panthers were in, or they're going to have to do a deal after the draft has been has taken place. And maybe that means sending Dak Prescott and a bunch of other pieces to Cleveland just to get Shedeur as a Dallas Cowboy.
I'll tell you this right now on the 14th of January, I will tell you my opinion. Deion Sanders will not be the coach of the Cowboys. It won't
Not
happen.
now.
It won't happen ever.
Ever.
I don't think it will.
Wow.
I don't think it will.
I wouldn't go so far as to say ever, because Jerry Jones is, even though he's 112 years old, he's not going to be around forever. So a couple of years from now, who knows? Maybe the new owner, whoever that may be,
Stephen Jones,
is maybe he doesn't feel the same way about Deion Sanders.
Got to run to a break, but first, Delvin wants to chime in. What's up, Delvin?
I'm a Cowboys fan too, so
you're right there with me, huh?
Yo, they're not gonna pick Deion Sanders. You want to who that coach gonna be? His favorite son, Jason Witten, the high school coach.
I think it'll be Kellen Moore, Delvin.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Either Kellen Moore or Jason Witten. Like, remember, he loved Jason Witten.
Yeah, but Jason Witten would be a terrible hire.
Hey, this is Jerry Jones we're talking about.
You're right.
The owner of the Cowboys. It's my team. I'm gonna run the team my way. Cole, don't tell me how to run my team.
I've never heard Delvin do a voice before. Delvin, that's great.
Sorry, Mr. Jones.
I do like I did the other host in Dallas. You don't hear from him no more.
God. Thanks, Delvin.
Thank you. Oh, my God.
That might have been the best call ever.
Good. That's going on a promo.
Maybe the best ever.
Oh,
It's already, it's on a promo. It's happening in like 30 seconds. Coming up next, Diesel, Rajay Harris, former Burns Rebel, former running back at East Carolina University, one of the best running backs to come through East Carolina. He has declared for the NFL draft. Local guy right here in the Upstate in the NFL draft. We'll talk to Rajay next. It is Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, rolling along in hour number 2 of the program. So good to be with you on this Tuesday afternoon as we've talked Deion Sanders, the Dallas potentially Clemson's DC in his new contract. Want to bring it local now, though, and bring in our first guest of the show. He is former running back at Burns High School, and I guess it sounds weird to say, but former running back at East Carolina, Rajay Harris. When I put former in front of East Carolina, Rajay, is that kicked in yet?
Not at all, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm still trying to get over that. I'm still up there. I'm still around, so I haven't really left ECU yet, man. But it definitely ain't hit me at all.
Raji, can you give us a sense of what your people and draft analysts are saying about how they see you projecting in the draft?
Right now, I'm just hearing a lot of free agency. They want to see my 40 time and stuff like that, but they'll see real soon. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna shock a lot of people, man. And I feel like it's time to do that, man. I got a track background, so I've been running. I be doing a lot of speed work when I'm back home. And I feel like it's gonna be put out there.
Rajay Harris, former running back at Burns High School in 2020. He arrived on campus at ECU, 624 yards, 579 and 21. And then 2024 was his breakout season, 1,000-yard back, 1,166 yards, 11 touchdowns, off of 206 carries. Rajay, your best year yet at 2020 or in 2024. Would you credit that to other guys on the roster and you getting more carries, or what would you credit when you look at this year being your 2024, rather being your best year yet at ECU?
First thing, man, I just got to give God all the glory. I built my relationship with him that summer of 20. So, man, after all that, man, God's been just carrying me away, man. And, everybody had a part of it, though. Offensive linemen, coaches, defense, everybody had a part of that, man, to get me to that point, man. And like I said, man, it's just a blessing to be in this position right now. With just a whole lot of opportunity out there for me to go get, man. And I love it, man. You feel what I'm saying? I love it. I feel like I could take full advantage of it coming soon.
Yeah, Cole talked about 2024 being your breakout season, man. You absolutely dominated in your final game as an ECU Pirate, 220 yards on the ground in the Go Bowling Military Bowl against NC State. As a fan and alum of another school in the state of North Carolina, I understand what it means for these matchups to happen in these bowl games. So can you give me a sense of how you and your teammates feel and think about it when the national pundits say just ridiculous things like meaningless bowl games? Because I guarantee you this game was not meaningless to you and your teammates.
It was definitely a smack in the face, man. We lost to them boys, I think, by like a field goal back in 2022. The field goal and lost to them boys. So when they got on social media doing that, it definitely was a slap in the face. But you just go back to the way we culture it, man, at ECU, man. We're not the type of team to get on social media and do a lot of that talking, because a lot of the talking goes on the field. That's why a lot of the plays are happening that. So, when we see that, man, we see it, but it's kind of go through one ear and not the other. So it is what it is.
Rajay, so good to talk to you, man, on this Tuesday afternoon. Talk about what may have been difficult for you, may not have been, but Diesel and I talked a lot about it on the show with Mike Houston, a very well-respected head coach, and obviously ECU parted ways. I just don't know, as a player, what your emotions were as you experienced Mike Houston, and just talk about what your relationship was with him and how that transpired and how things were different after Mike Houston left ECU.
For sure. It was definitely different. The whole year we was going through adversity, but you got to think, man, we had about 6-7 seniors that's been there. They've been at ECU, since 2020. So we was definitely hurt. Mike was our guy. You feel what I'm saying? But that just shows you, man, when them bumps and hiccups come, man, on your path, man, you can't stop, man. You can't hinder. You can't do anything. You just got to keep going, man. And that's something that Coach Houston kind of taught us. He calloused our minds. He calloused our everything, man, just to be, one day at a time, 1%, man. So going through that this year it was hard, but we had to get through it. we knew as seniors we wanted to go out with a bang, man. And, that's what he would have wanted for this whole program. You feel what I'm saying? So great dude, man, great person, great husband. Man, I hate it for him, man. And I know he'll get more opportunities out here just off his, the things he's done, in the past. So I appreciate everything he's done for me, my family, and that whole program.
On the other side of that, Raji, can you talk to us about what it was like when they brought in the new head coach and how that really turned this season around? Because, before that, the team was struggling just a little bit. After the new head coach came in, or the interim head coach came in, you guys were on fire, and it was a completely different second half of the season. What did that mean to you, and how did it provide the jolt that the team needed?
Well, man, really, man, it just brought a lot of excitement in. He really didn't come in thinking that he was going to be, the boss of us or anything, because it never was about him. About him when the wins was going. He always kept it, for the seniors. For Coach Harold, and he's definitely bringing another excitement in Greenville. And I'm just happy for him and his family. He's been there ever since I was at ECU, so I see him work. And it just shows you, man, hard work does pay off, man. And like I said, man, I'm just excited for that program.
Rajay, what's it mean? Like, this is a feeling, obviously, I'll never feel and never be able to experience. But growing up, playing Little League, playing all the way through high school at Burns, and playing college ball, and now having a chance to go play in the NFL as you are going to now enter the NFL draft. I mean, just in the few minutes we've been on the phone, I had a listener of the show text in or message me directly on Twitter. You may know who it is, you may not, and said, "Hey, man, the guy you're talking to right now, we played against him in Little League. When we played him, we never tackled him, not one time. Honestly, we never touched him. Was great way back then as well." Just growing up from Little League all the way to now, what's it mean to be able to have a shot at the NFL?
It's a blessing, honestly, man. It really, I'm hoping I'm sending the message out to kids, in the local area, man, that they can do it. You feel what I'm saying? I heard a lot of times, man, people just tell me it's just a short percentage, but that didn't stop, man. And that's just anything in life, man. I just encourage anybody, man, just keep going, because you never know when the opportunity is going to present itself. And I've been telling people all week, it's crazy, I've been telling people all week, man, like, when the opportunity comes, man, you got to take full advantage of it. And that's what I'm trying to do, not just in Little League, not just in college, not just high school. I'm trying to do it in life too. You feel what I'm saying? I hope I hope it's motivating other people, you feel what I'm saying, around the world, that they could do it as well.
Raji, I want to go back to something and revisit something you said earlier. As your agent and people around you have been leading you more towards saying we're probably going the route of free agency. How are they communicating what the process is going to be like for you? Certainly, you'll go and do your workouts and hope to end up getting drafted. But if you are headed towards the free agency route, how have they put that in your head that that's actually a good thing, that you now get to pick a situation that's best for you? Talk about that process.
Yeah, at first when you hear you're not going to be drafted, of course you feel some type of way. But, man, like I've been telling you about these opportunities, man, all I need is an opportunity. And a lot of my agents know that. You feel what I'm saying? They know that all I need is an opportunity. A lot of people keep talking about undrafted, which is it's an extra little boost to me as well, while I'm going through my process I'm going through now. I've been doubting my whole life, man, and, what is it to say I'm just a free agent? Which it's not going to be bad for me. You feel what I'm saying? I go out there and get to choose where I want to go, and stuff like that. But man, I can do it. I know I can do it, man. I'm ready for pro day. I'm ready for this. Before I can showcase my talents in front of these scouts and let them see another version of me. You feel what I'm saying? So, but just going in general is definitely a blessing. It's definitely a blessing, man. It's something I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. And just able to give back, man. And I run camps every year, so just being able to give back, to the community in a positive way, to this D5 area, man, and D6, to the whole Spartanburg County, man. Just like I said, man, just trying to show people that it's possible to do from that area, and if I can do it, anybody can.
Rajay Harris, former Burns Rebel, former ECU running back. Rajay, you've been in college since 2020. What has the process been like with this new era of college football, with NIL, with the transfer portal? Diesel and I were talking about before the show with Cam Ward going to Miami. He is now making more money than Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bryce Young, Bo Nix, C.J. Stroud, and Michael Penix Jr. all in their first season, $4 million from someone who experienced college at the D1 level firsthand over the last 5 years. How would you describe it?
I like it. I guess I like it because I benefit from it, but I really don't like the idea of all the people that's making like 8 to 10 mil. You feel what I'm saying? While you in college, stuff like that, man. That's a lot of money. And you feel me? Why would you want to go to the NFL and make all that money when you already making it? So it's kind of like is people gonna start thinking like that, or is it kind of gonna slow down, or like how's it gonna go for the next couple years? You feel me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I like it though. I think it's beneficial for the people that really need it. And I got a daughter myself. So, just having a little extra change here and there just to, go do things for her was great. Blessing. But this NIL stuff is crazy. I heard it was going into high school or something like that.
It is. Already in North Carolina and Georgia, by the way.
See, that's insane, too. I ain't going to lie. That's insane. It's going to make people just start leaving their high schools, man. And it's crazy, man. But, hey. It's the life. We gotta adapt.
That's right.
Hey, Rajay, just know that there's been a lot of really great players in the NFL that have made fantastic careers for themselves as undrafted players. Kurt Warner was undrafted. Warren Moon, Tony Romo, James Harrison, Priest Holmes, a lot of big-time players in the NFL have made a name for themselves as an undrafted player. And we talk about it here on this show all the time about how guys that get drafted late in the draft, and especially those who are undrafted free agents, they have the ability to go pick a situation that's right for them. And you may end up in a much better situation than being drafted by a team that, kind of puts you in a bad spot. So I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for your future and what happens for you.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, all I need is that opportunity. I'm gonna make you a believer. You feel what I'm saying? And
yes, sir.
I just feel like, man, that free agency, man, it's nothing bad. I got a best friend, Keaton Mitchell. Y'all know who it is, the running back from the Ravens. You see how he beneficial for it, benefited from it. So, man, I'm excited for what's next, man. All I need is that opportunity, and man, I'm just ready to go.
Rajay, before I let you go, I need 2 things from you. I need number one, I'll break it up. Prediction Monday night, Notre Dame, Ohio State. I need a prediction on that first. So I'll let you give the answer there first, and I'll need one more.
I like Ohio State, man. I like the running backs. No running backs, so they go get us. The guy that transferred from Ole Miss, he's more like an all-around back. Like he reminds me of Jameer Gibbs a little bit. And then the other guy, man, 32, man. Oh man, he's trouble. He's like a train, man. He's running that thing. So nothing off Notre Dame though, man, because those some guys right there. They go out there and battle, man. But man, I like Ohio State for sure.
And then Rajay, one of my favorite parts about watching the NFL draft, every player that gets drafted gets asked the question, growing up, everybody has a favorite team. You being in the position that you're in, potentially with a shot at the NFL, growing up, what was the dream on the side of the helmet? Which logo was it for you?
Niner game, bang, bang.
That pains me as a Cowboys fan, Rajay, but I'll pull for you. I'll pull.
Oh, man. Yeah. Niner gang, I'm telling you, man. My mom's
I knew the answer to that.
My mom's a cowgirl or whatever, but
Niner
gang for sure.
Rajay, appreciate you, man. Great stuff. You appreciate you and your family. Your dad's a great person. Appreciate our relationship with him, and your brother going to be special as well at Burns. I'm excited to see. That's right, both of them. You're right. Appreciate your time, man, and best of luck in April, and we'll be pulling for you, okay?
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate both of y'all. Y'all have a great night.
You too. That's Rajay Harris, former running back at Burns High School, also at ECU. I can't imagine, like you and I go through, things in life where we're excited about it, we're anticipating. Yeah. Can you imagine, though, being in the shoes of someone who potentially, has a shot at the NFL?
I mean, it's first day of school times a million all over
times
again.
A million, right.
Man, I'm really, really excited for him and to see a local kid, Duncan, South Carolina kid, making it big and potentially playing on Sundays. That is really exciting for that opportunity for him. When we come back, Cole, let's take our whip around the sports world, see what else is happening out there on our Daily Wires. Appreciate East Carolina and former Burns Rebel running back Raji being on the show with us earlier in the last segment. You can check it out anytime you want to on the stream, on the Facebook page, on the website, thefanupstate.com, and on the free Odyssey app. Just search for Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson and find our podcast. Let's go check out what's happening around in the sports world. These are our daily wires. This is The Buzz. A source has confirmed that Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders spoke yesterday. And while an interview has not been scheduled, the two are expected to continue their dialogue. Fox Sports first reported the conversation between the two sides. Deion Sanders was linked to a Cowboys job that has not even opened yet. To hear, quote, to hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful, and it's intriguing, he told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Monday night. I love Jerry and believe in Jerry. After you hang up and process it and you think about it, it's intriguing. But I love Boulder, and everything there is about our team, the coaches, our student body, and the community.
You know, it's interesting when you have the conversation, Diesel, one thing people assume, and I don't know, maybe they did. People assume that Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders had the conversation and Jerry offered them job. They might not even have gotten to that point. It may have been hey, look, I know what you did for us. I know what we have to get back to. If you're Jerry, what would you do if you – I mean, I'm not saying Jerry's asking Deion what he would do, but maybe, just maybe, it was more of who do you think would be out there that would be able to change this thing?
Could be just feeling him out, look, Jerry, hey, I know you love being there in Boulder. We love watching what you're doing over there. And I know, you probably don't have any plans to leave Boulder anytime soon, but
what would it take to get you here, Deion?
What would it take?
What would it take, Deion?
Yeah. With the Lakers who are about to play their first game after a 6-day layoff due to the Southern California wildfires, their coach, J.J. Redick, took a moment to focus on something he hoped could be gained after so much has been lost, saying, quote, I think a group functions best when you draw strength from each other. It's our job to go give strength and give hope and give joy. Sports are a lot of things, and sports can certainly provide an escape and a distraction, and hopefully sports and tonight can provide some joy as well.
Well, that didn't work for them last night as they got mollywopped by the San Antonio Spurs. So everybody else can rally around, but evidently the Lakers can't do it. Again, bad situation. I think J.J. Redick, I saw a video where he lost his house. So
I did see somewhere that I think the L.A. Rams, the venue that they play at, had been opened up as a shelter.
Oh, that's awesome.
And part of their reasoning for wanting to go play in Arizona last night was to have that facility open for people who needed it more than they needed it. Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix revealed yesterday that he played part of his rookie season with transverse process fractures in his back. I don't know what those are, but they don't sound
They're
good.
Transverse.
Right.
That's what they are.
As far as opposed to inverse or cisverse. I don't know what to call it.
But hey, kudos to him.
Yeah.
I mean, hashing out the whole season, making the playoffs.
Yeah, how devastating are little fractures like that? I don't know. Cole, last night was not a positive experience for our local team, the Furman Paladins, whose moniker is right behind your head for those watching on the stream on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube. Wofford handed them their third loss of the season with a 81-62 beatdown of the Furman Paladins. Furman is now 2-2 in conference play.
You know what? You and I both picked Furman. They were playing so well, but boy, oh boy, did Wofford come out of the gates last night and put it on them. And I mean, they never looked back. 20-plus lead at one point for Wofford. That game was never close last night. So a tough night for Furman. You have those nights. It happens. Yeah. But, boy, Wofford, interesting team now that didn't start the season off well, but they're playing really good now. I believe that was their third conference win. And, it's all about how you play when it comes to March. And that was a big win for Wofford last night.
Yeah, and if you're Furman, you got to wait a while to get revenge. They don't face off again until March 1st when they'll play on the campus of Wofford there in Spartanburg. Cornerback Antonio Cromartie Jr., the son of four-time NFL Pro Bowler Antonio Cromartie, announced his commitment to Florida State last night, continuing a family legacy with the Seminoles. Congratulations to him.
That is big. He was a heck of a football player. You know, it's always interesting to see if the son will be as good, though.
Texas junior wide receiver Isaiah Bond will forego his senior season and declare for the NFL draft. To date, both Texas and Oklahoma men's basketball are winless in SEC play, as well as it went for Texas in football. It is not going well for them in basketball. Texas went 12-6 in conference in the Big 12 last year. Oklahoma was 5-13. The SEC is tough, man. This is not a time to join a gauntlet of a conference like that.
Well, they thought it was just for football. They didn't realize it was for basketball. It was a mistake by the SEC. They didn't know. But you're right. It is a gauntlet. You better be prepared because if you're newbies in that conference in basketball right now, it's a tough road to hoe.
Shane Barrett provides some context there. He says the transverse processes are the spikes that come off of each vertebrae.
Spikes. I have spikes in my back.
Cracks in his spikes.
What do you mean spikes? Spikes.
Yeah, your spine kind of looks like this.
You know what? That always like kind of, you know, it's like, yeah, it does. It really does. When you see like those bones in your spine and your back, I don't know.
You're like, those are in there?
They're there?
Cole, yesterday, after we spent some time bashing on Anthony Edwards for being a bad boy in the NBA, he went off and scored 41 points last night against Washington. So big night for Anthony Edwards. Maybe we should trash talk him every day.
Yeah.
And then he'll just put up 50 points the next night.
He would like that.
Michael Lewis, the man who was arrested on a felony charge for allegedly stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark, appeared in court this morning and immediately was rebuked by the judge for talking during the proceedings.
Wow.
When he entered the courtroom at Marion County Superior Court, Lewis sat back in his chair and said, "Guilty as charged." And he interrupted the court's proceedings multiple times. The judge told him, "You have a right to remain silent, and I expect you to exercise that with me." He was released on bond and is expected back on March 31st for a pretrial hearing. Here's what's so effed up about the American judicial system, Cole. This guy is being tried for stalking with sending, sexually explicit and violent messages to a star. You know what they do?
Let him out.
And then say, "Hey, we just need you to come back here in about 6 weeks."
Give him a Visa card, put him in a hotel. I mean, that's what we normally do for criminals in the United States. Give them all they want.
And finally, Cole, the Houston Texans have waived Deion Johnson. Deion started the season as a Carolina Panther. He was with the Panthers until October 29th when he was traded to the Baltimore Ravens, who then waived him when he refused to enter their game against the Eagles on December 1st. The Texans claimed him off of waivers on December 23rd and then waived him earlier after just 2 games with the team. Deion Johnson, you're on a playoff team. Why would you do this? Why would you act this way?
Also, in case you missed it earlier, we talked about it. Nate Garner tabbed as the next head football coach of the North Greenville Trailblazers. His introductory press conference was this morning. We had that audio from his interview this morning. If you missed it, you can go back on the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app. That's how you can. The Odyssey app's the best, man. It really is. And I know we have to get run to a break, but if you haven't downloaded it yet, it's free. AUDACY. Yeah. All the chapters are labeled. It's easy. It's the best.
And you can set the Fan Upstate as a favorite, so as soon as you open the app, we just appear.
Yep, that's what I do.
That's what I do. Make it super easy for you. When we come back, Cole, we do a segment we call "How Does That Guy Still Have a Job?" Tolos, 844-326-3663. Text or call. Get involved. Tell us who shocks you that they still have a job. That segment coming up next on the Fan Upstate. Cole, the Offspring have a favorite song that goes, nah, why don't you get a job? Well, this segment that we do each and every week is dedicated to the opposite side of that conversation. The question becomes, why hasn't that guy been fired yet? How does that guy still have a job? Tolo's 844 fan phone, 844-326-3663. Text in, call in. Who is your candidate this week for how does that guy still have a job? Maybe he's been around forever and he's just not getting it done. Maybe he makes baffling decisions.
Yeah.
It's up to you to nominate your candidate this week.
I think we have the best one ever, though. But here's the problem. The one that you and I have, the one that I sent you over the weekend, half of the people are going to agree with us. The other half are going to tell you and I that we're crazy, that he's a good coach, that he deserves to keep his job. But based on the numbers that we have, I would disagree.
And who is that?
Little drum roll, please. That would be the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin.
Wait, he's a good coach.
No.
He's never had a losing season.
We're going to bust that myth.
Okay, let's do it. Coming up here in just a
What's your
moment.
name?
Cole, my candidate for how does that guy still have a job? And the answer is he may not for very much longer. Sam Darnold of the Minnesota Vikings.
Ouch. That's too soon.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I texted in the middle of the second quarter of that game. Oh, there's the Sam Darnold we all remember from Carolina.
Oh, poor
Bro,
Sam.
terrible.
Poor Sam. You're right, though.
Poor Sam.
But here's the question. Will he have a job for a franchise that may think he's worth? I don't think, like I said earlier in the show, I don't think he'll be the quarterback for the Vikings. The Browns, though? The New York Jets? I mean, somebody out there, somebody will pay the guy.
But if you're the Browns, wouldn't you rather just throw a contract at Jameis Winston again? Another 1-year offer to Jameis? Like, at least people pay attention to you.
He's funny.
When you have to, because he's
That's the
funny,
only thing.
right?
He throws interceptions. But
He's going to go out there and act like he's on shrooms every day and act like what he's seeing in front of his face is the best thing ever.
on shrooms. You're terrible.
Walks out. Wow, it's snowing.
It's
Guys,
snowing.
come outside quick. It's snowing.
The sky's blue. The sky is blue. I'm pulling up my text between you and I. And I'm telling you, I sent you this over the weekend. I have to give credit to Sammy P of BetQL on this one, Diesel, because I was driving. It was Sunday around lunchtime. I was driving to Anderson, and it was a terrible drive, like an hour and 20 minutes. I was miserably bored. That's not the reason I was listening to BetQL, but anyways, I was listening. That was bad. Let me retract.
Were you listening because you were bored, or were you bored because you were listening?
I always listen to the Fan Upstate. All that, I turn it on and leave it on. But here's a stat, Diesel, that I want to present to you on today's edition of how does this guy still have a job? 28. 2-8. That's the number. Tolos driving in the Upstate. The number is 28. 28 what, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. 28 NFL head coaches have won a playoff game since Mike Tomlin last won a playoff game. Again, 28 NFL head coaches have won a playoff game, not a regular season game, a playoff game since the Steelers' Mike Tomlin has last won a playoff game. You say he's a good coach. He never has a losing season. Diesel, that's wild to me. That's wild to me how that guy still has a job. I think it's time to move on from Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. I really do.
I mean, look, what do you want your franchise to be? Do you want your franchise to be a program that just never embarrasses you, but never really takes you into any heights? I mean, but how do you also fire a guy that doesn't lose, more than he wins?
I know, but what is your standard, right? What do you want your standard to be? There was a really good piece of audio from Damian Woody that I heard this morning when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he said it. He said, "Look, the Steelers, they've lost their standard. Getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs or not making the playoffs. That's not the standard in Pittsburgh anymore." And look, I understand. I get that Mike Tomlin is a good coach. However, Are we going to sit here and act like that Mike Tomlin has done enough? That stat that I just read you, that should be enough for the GM in Pittsburgh to say, Mike, we appreciate you. You've been a fantastic coach, but we've got to part ways.
I think Mike Tomlin is the right coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is not the right coach for a franchise that's as storied as the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, that's a franchise that needs to be making deep playoff runs and competing for Super Bowl championships. There's way too much history there. There's way too much pride. There's way too much fervor in that fan base to have just mediocrity.
28, Diesel. 28 head coaches have won a playoff game. That stat to me, do you know how hard it is to win a playoff game? The fact that 28 coaches have done it. Let's see what Dewey has to say. 844-FAN phone is the way you can call the show or text the show. Dewey, what's up, man?
Yes, this is a non-sports figure, but I got to say this, since we're talking about people get fired.
Yep.
I think Chris Justice needs to be fired for making the snow forecast last week because we didn't get no snow. We got rain and ice, and it's all gone. It was gone before the sun came up. He should be fired, and they should take his weather license away from him. And you should bring him on the show to ask him the hard questions.
Thanks, Dewey.
Explain himself.
Thank you, Dewey.
Oh, boy.
We
No
cut
comment. No comment. No, I'm not going to comment there.
Is there actually a weather license, Cole? You trained to be a meteorologist.
No, I didn't. I took one class because I couldn't pass.
You have more training than any of the rest of us do.
I couldn't pass biology, so they stuck me in meteorology in college. That call, Dewey, first of all, you make me laugh.
Is there a license?
No, I think you have to have a meteorology degree, right?
Do you? To
be a weatherman?
To read the forecast?
I mean, here I go, asking Google.
Do you think Yannette Garcia had a meteorology license?
No, but they have a mirror. You have to have a meteorology degree.
Shane Barrett says, bro, don't do Chris Justice like that.
Dewey. All right. It says Diesel on Google, the trusted source, AI Overview, says, yes, you need a bachelor's degree in meteorology or a related field to become a meteorologist. The degree is usually a 4-year program. It demonstrates that you have the knowledge, to tell us that it's going to snow 3 to 5 inches when it really is a dusting. I'm kidding. It doesn't say that. But
is there a different degree like psychology and psychiatry where you need a degree versus where you don't, or where you can prescribe medication but where you can't?
I don't know, man. I feel like if you are a meteorologist and you're a female and you look great, they might be slack. They might say, "Hey, okay, you don't have a degree.
I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a weatherman, man."
Dewey, you can't do that though. I mean, it's funny, it's bad, but God, I can't laugh at that because I'm not gonna agree with you, but it's funny and I agree with you.
Michael in Simpsonville says it's not Vanna White. You have to be certified.
Spartanburg J.
You have to get certified to be wrong all the time?
No, I don't think so. At least I haven't been, right? Shane Barrett. Did you read that text from Shane Barrett already?
No, I don't think I did.
I apologize. I remember you said Shane's name, but I didn't want to reread.
No, I didn't get
text.
a chance to read this one yet.
Okay, go ahead. Shane Barrett texted.
Shane Barrett says, Diesel will be happy to know that my goal this year is to stop swearing. And in lieu of that, how the heck does Trent Baalke still have a job?
Well, I don't know on your resolution. I don't know if you're going to be able to accomplish that, Dump Button, who, by the way, did win the Fantasy Football League. Is he still coaching the Jaguars?
He is GM of the Jaguars.
Oh, still GM. Sorry, still GM of the Jags. He's not been good. Shane might have a point there.
No, he hasn't. And to that point, Frank Wagner sends me a message that says Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game, but what quarterback have they given him since Ben Roethlisberger? Would another coach have dragged them crappy offensive teams to the playoffs like he did?
So I agree. Who said that?
Frank Wagner.
So I agree with Frank Wagner. The only rebuke that I would have there, Diesel, is I felt like this year, 2024, Justin Fields, in the first few weeks that he played while Russell Wilson was getting healthy, I was really impressed with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe bringing Russell Wilson back, who's the experienced vet, as we all know, I thought maybe, Diesel, that was a mistake by Tomlin. And the reason I say that is I felt like Justin Fields may have more upside. I thought the ceiling may be higher for a guy like Justin Fields as a quarterback of the Steelers. And Justin Fields never saw the field again. And it was the Russell Wilson show. I just think it's time for Russell Wilson to ride away in the sunset.
If there was ever a case, Cole, for tanking, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you sit there middle of the pack most seasons because you do slightly better than 500. For example, coming up this year, they're going to be drafting 21st. You're not going to get a quarterback at 21st. Nobody worth a damn, at least.
No.
So what do? I mean, you either have to really reach on one of those second round or third round type quarterbacks that you think might have something special, and then everybody's scratching their head and second guessing your decision making, or you keep settling for mediocre quarterbacks that are available more than halfway after the first round.
Tolo Phil texted into the show, 844-FAN phone. That's phone with an F. 844-326-3663 is the actual number. Tolo Phil says, tell Dewey, wait for next week. It's going to snow a lot. Tolo Phil, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't you
Is
do
it
that.
Tolo Phil? Do you have a degree in meteorology, Tolo Phil?
Now, I don't think I've told you this yet. I believe, and Tolo Phil, if you're still listening, tell me if I'm right or wrong here, because we have a lot of different Tolos and my memory sucks. But Tolo Phil, you were the one that came up to me at the Gaffney game, and I was the one that worked with you. I'm not going to say where because you don't want to give your employer away, but tell me if I'm right there. I want to make sure because we have more than one Phil in the audience. I saw a Phil Sunday afternoon who said he listens to the show. So I have to tell Diesel a story off the air, but I want to make sure it's the right Tolo Phil. Snow next week in the forecast?
Well, I know it's supposed to be cold. I've seen cold weather in the forecast next week. Let's have to wait and see. Frank Wagner gets back in again. He says they didn't play Fields more because if he played more, they'd have to give up a higher draft pick. So it must have been on one of those conditional trades.
Sure enough, Diesel.
And Shane Barrett says, as a Jags fan, I would take Tomlin. I bet you would.
No, I think that's valid. But however, to be fair to the GM of the Jags, I thought Doug Peterson would work out. I thought Doug Peterson would be better than he was. And that just didn't pan like his first year. They won a playoff.
Maybe Trevor Lawrence is the problem.
Maybe he's just not. I don't know. Something's wrong there. Diesel Tolo Phil may not be wrong. I'm looking at the 10-day forecast. It's a long ways out. You're right about the cold. I mean,
yeah,
serious cold.
Like down into the teens.
19 Monday. By the way, you
for
and
the high or for the low?
For the low.
Oh, thank God.
Can you imagine?
Woo!
Oh my God. 37.
I'm moving if that's the case.
Yeah, no. Or Steve's. I haven't heard him on air lately.
Yeah.
I got down to 19. He left. The high's 37 Monday, 32 Tuesday, and then Wednesday. It's look, that's still a week away. Mostly cloudy skies early, a few snow showers later in the day. Oh my gosh.
That's it.
We're going to get a dusting again.
Yeah, no, which means we're going to get dumped on. We're going to get a ton of snow.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. When they predict a bunch, you get a little. When they predict a little, you get a bunch.
I'll tell you what my favorite thing about the weather, now that we're in this time of year, my favorite thing about this time of season when we get snow is everyone becomes an expert. Like people tell you, oh, if it comes from Atlanta, that means you're going to get 3 to 7 inches. And then some guy tells you, well, if this metrics if it rains and it's 64 degrees after the first of New Year and it was a full moon and a solar eclipse, that means it's going to snow. Everybody's an expert. But Shane says Peterson was too loyal to Press Taylor. Press sucks. That's why he got fired in Philly. Maybe so. Look, Doug Peterson's been to a Super Bowl, so he knows what it takes. But you're right. Maybe the guys that he had weren't the combination.
Well, Cole, all of what you just said a second ago is why I use a plastic bag of old chicken bones to do my weather predictions. I shake them up a little bit, do a little chant, throw them on the ground, and if it comes out to a certain pattern, like a diamond pattern, that means we're going to get a lot of snow.
Well, here's all I ask. Please, the next time you put chicken bones in a bag and do a dance and throw them on the ground, please have your wife video it. That's all I ask because I want to see it. That's all I ask.
It's private.
I know we've got off on a tangent here, but I wanted to hear these ticket prices. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, Cole. So if you're considering trying to make your way down to Atlanta for the national championship game, get ready to take out a second mortgage because it's going to be expensive. Current cheapest ticket available for the national championship game on StubHub, Cole. And I don't know if this is the get in, like meaning there's fees added to it, but current cheapest ticket price right now is $1,397. You got $1,400 to get into the national championship game?
No.
And
I'm not going to spend it on the national champ.
It's not even a good ticket. It's like end zone, corner, upper deck.
That's brutal.
I mean, like looking at the seat location thing, they show you like here's what your seat's going to look like. I mean, it's not a bad seat to watch a game. You're up there, you can see the whole field.
Yeah.
But still, you're in one of the worst locations in the arena. Now, the question is, does anyone have a guess? Tolos, text in real quick, 844-FAN phone, or jump in on the comment section on our live video stream on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
I have 162 in there right now.
How much do you think the most expensive ticket currently available for the game cost?
The most expensive.
Most expensive ticket currently listed on StubHub. Don't cheat. Don't go look it up. Just take a wild guess. Dan, Shane, you guys are actively chatting in there. See if you can give me an answer on this. Dan B, not even close. Not.
You know what? That's not even. I'll tell you what I guessed.
Yeah.
Earlier in the office, what I guessed, 10 grand. Is that what I guessed?
Yeah, you did.
And you just laughed at me.
Yeah,
you just laughed.
You have to go up from there.
DB, can we say what he guessed?
Dan guessed $47,000.
And you're saying he's what?
Not even close.
Too high?
Way too low. Way too low
for a national championship ticket.
So it's got to be a suite ticket because
it better be.
Yeah,
a foot massage.
Yeah,
I mean everything.
Happy ending and everything. $127,312 for an end zone corner suite.
That blows my mind.
Dan B says, bleep that. It better come with strippers.
For that much? Say that number again, how much it was?
$127,312 is the most expensive ticket currently available for the national championship game. Now, if you want to price things a little more modestly, I understand, times are tough. Everybody's pinching pennies. If you want to sit Cole lower bowl sideline between the 10s, it's going to cost you a range between $3,700 and $18,000.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
What a deal that is.
A nice low mileage used car.
That is nuts. That doesn't even seem. I get Super Bowl. Super Bowl's different.
Yeah.
But $100,000 to go to the national championship.
Absurd.
You've got to be like Texas oil money, big time donor. That is unbelievable.
Think about it. You could buy a TV the size of that wall, Cole, put in the best audio system that money could buy.
Yeah.
And it would still be less expensive than a lower bowl ticket for the national championship game. It's mind-boggling. Granted, this is what it's listed as. There's no reason to think somebody listing it for $127,000 will actually get it. That's
you
crazy.
Wouldn't think so.
That's crazy. Unless, I don't know, maybe Leprechaun of Lyman's got the money and he's willing to throw $127 to get the best seat in the house.
I'll tell you who has the money. It's Tom in Somerville.
Tom
who wants to chime in on the phone
lines. Well, he's been winning a lot at underdogs. So.
He has. 844-FAN phone. Tom in Somerville. What is up, Tom?
I just want to know how in the world some of these playoff games, man. We talk about the college football playoff committee, but my goodness, some of these NFL games, especially last night, were just so unwatchable.
Yeah.
I mean, I turned that game off at halftime last night, and I laid on the couch and I started watching Net Geographic.
Oh my God.
That game last night was so unwatchable.
There was even a stretch, Tom, in there where they threw 5 penalty flags on 4 plays.
It was
It was. I mean,
Tom, the only thing that I would say to rebuke you is if you have investments or a reason to watch, it was definitely not unwatchable. That's all I'll say.
Well. Speaking of investments, I had some investments, but I still couldn't watch that game last night. The Vikings, my goodness, I don't know what they did all week, but they were not ready. And Sam Darnold was awful. I mean, I would rather watch other sporting events that is not football other than that last night. But this coming weekend is going to be fun. I will say that. This coming weekend, with the Ravens and the Bills.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Today's Tuesday, and we got to wait another 4 days for football. And I don't know what I'm gonna do because I can't watch the Gamecocks basketball team. We know how that goes. So I'm just gonna crawl into a hole for a few days till something good comes back on TV because there is nothing worth watching right now, boys.
All right, we'll pray for you, Tom. Hopefully you'll be able to make it until football comes back on Saturday. Thanks for the call.
I was furious with that game, Cole, last night because I got 2 out of my 3 picks right in the first half. Ooh. And I was like, oh, this is a lock. I'm totally going to get this. The third stat that didn't hit, the third projection, was Cooper Kupp over 47 yards.
Wow.
And they just wouldn't throw the ball to him. And then, of course, once you got up into the fourth quarter, they didn't need to throw the ball anymore. They just ran the clock for the rest of the game. So in 3 quarters, I needed Cooper Kupp to get 47 yards in 3 quarters of the game. And then they just shut their offense down from then on. And I was so mad.
Well, you know what? I'll add you to the prayer list too. You and Tom both. I don't know what y'all going to do. Diesel, however, we've got to run to a break. I will tease the Tolos and say, I need your help. Clemson fans out there, South Carolina fans out there, I need your help in the very next segment. Doing an, how do we call this? A way too early look at the 2025 coaching staffs. Clemson has made a move. South Carolina obviously brought in a new OC. South Carolina with a new offensive coordinator, Clemson with a new defensive coordinator. An early look at the 2 staffs going into 2025 as we sit in the middle of January. Who do we feel like, as far as the in-state program goes, Diesel, has the better football staff heading into the spring? Want to hear from the Tolos, 844-FAN phone. You can text or call that number. We'll get into that next. Clemson has made a new hire when it comes to their defensive coordinator. If you have been under a rock the last few days, well, climb out from under that rock and sit right here in Tolo with us. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. We talked about this on Monday, Diesel. Had Will Vandervoort on. We were right on top of it as we were told that Clemson was finalizing a deal with Penn State defensive coordinator Tom Allen to become the next DC at Clemson. And the Board of Trustees at 3 o'clock today did approve the deal, and Clemson now has a new defensive coordinator. We also know that the Gamecocks have a new OC in Mike Shula. So I ask the question, going into the spring, because we know it's already January, man. This season flies by. February here in about 15 days. March, April, May, spring ball around the corner. Who do you feel like has the superior coaching staff heading into 2025? Clemson, South Carolina. We know that Dabo has Garrett Riley as the OC and now Tom Allen as the DC. We know at South Carolina, Shane Beamer has Clayton White as the DC and new coordinator, and Mike Shula is the OC. There are other coordinators on the staff that matter, like a Sean Elliott, like a Mike Furry. But in terms of the big three, Diesel, I want to ask you as well as the Tolos out there, 844-FAN phone, and that's phone with an F, by the way. Who do we feel like has the better staff going into 2025, or is that just a dumb question?
Well, I mean, you're parsing words. I think you maybe have to do, a check by check, coach by coach, position by position tally to see who wins more, right? And then you also have to kind of see, how do we weight these things? How do we weight the importance of a head coach versus a coordinator versus a position coach versus director of player, all these things, right? So that might be what we end up having to do in this segment, Cole. But before we get to that point, I do want to ask you this question, because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, and this is what Twitter does, right? They jump right in and they take things to the worst possible place that they could.
Not Twitter.
When the announcement was first posted, one of the first major outlets to carry this, it gets retweeted, it gets shared to all these people, right? The conversation in the comments where why would Tom Allen take a step down from Penn State to Clemson? And I wonder if you agree with that sentiment. You know, Tom Allen, DC at Penn State, took his team to the Final Four. Clemson didn't achieve that this year. Clemson has recent national championships, but struggled to even, to get into the 12-team playoff. They're a conference champion. Penn State was not. I think you can kind of look at like both of these teams, like they have some elements where they're better or superior than the other program, and what one is great at, the other one is kind of weak at, and vice versa. Do you look at Tom Allen from Penn State to Clemson as step up, step down, or lateral move?
I told someone this morning that it was a lateral move. I really do. I think it is interesting because I don't believe Diesel, Clemson fans, and people around here are used to seeing a coordinator from that conference, from that part of the country, move laterally to the South. And again, why wouldn't you want to move to the South, right? Especially South Carolina. It's something that we have not seen happen often. Does that mean it's a step down? No. I don't believe I can convince myself, unless you can or a Tolo can. That's a great question, but Penn State, okay, you can say Penn State has history. Well, I could argue, Diesel, that Clemson has more recent history. So I could argue that, no, Penn State's not a better job than Clemson. And I could argue that, hey, in the ACC, you're going to win a lot of games and you're going to have a chance year in and year out at a conference championship, build your resume, have a really good shot at the college football playoff. So, no, I really, for those out there that think it's a step down, I would, in fact, argue that it might be, if it's a step anything in any direction, I would argue that it's a step up. But I think for the most part, I'm thinking this is a lateral move by Tom Allen.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it comes down to what he wants for the remainder of his career. He's 54 years old, right? He potentially has another 10, 15 years tops coaching in college football. If that's, if he wants to coach for basically the rest of his life. And, it becomes, what does he want to do? Does he want to be a high level coordinator that goes and wins championships somewhere? He may look at the Big Ten at Penn State and look at all those giant roadblocks in front of them, talking about the maize and blue, the scarlet and gray. He may look at that and say, oof, I'm in a tough spot. And with James Franklin as my boss, I don't think we're going to win national championships here. So he may say Clemson is an easier road to a national championship. And hey, if you can be working side by side with somebody that you feel like you align with personally, and we would, as we were talking to Will, he talked about Tom being a believer, then why not want to work with somebody like Dabo and create that synergy there where you can go on and do special things? I look at it as a step up as far as what you can achieve, what your ceiling is, but it's certainly a lateral move in terms of salary, and it may be even a step down in terms of the kind of personnel that you're able to get.
So let's keep it right there then on the defensive coordinator spot, because I'm asking the question. Let's start with a DC. Who do you think has the better DC, Clayton White at South Carolina or Tom Allen at Clemson? I will tell you, I know this is the easy out. I think those are pretty close as when you look at them as coordinators. I think they're looked at both as really good defensive coordinators in the sport. And to say one is ahead of the other, I mean, South Carolina's defense last year was good. Tom Allen's was 7th in the country.
Yeah, I think it's even.
I
think it's even. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to pick a winner here.
Yep.
If you don't truly believe that one of them is head and shoulders above the other. Clayton White is a fantastic defensive coordinator, and he's put together a great defense with great personnel.
Sure.
Tom Allen, his record speaks for itself. He was a great defensive mind when he was at Indiana, great defensive mind at Penn State, and I think he's going to bring some really interesting schemes to Clemson that they've never seen before. So I like it.
I do too. Offensive coordinator might be unfair, though, because Garrett Riley's been there a couple of years now.
Yep.
2 years. This will be his third in 2025. Mike Shula's been in the position. He has the experience, Diesel. However, Mike Shula has not coached a single game outside of a bowl game at South Carolina. A meaningful game is the way I'll describe it. So maybe my question, the answer will be too hard to tell as of now, January 14th, because Mike Shula, the bowl game is the only data you have when it comes to him. And then, from Clemson's defensive side, kind of the same situation. I do think, though, like when we talk about where these programs have been, they've had good coordinators. Dabo's had bad coordinators. Same thing for Shane Beamer in my mind. But I will tell you, from the Kevin Steeles of the world with Clemson and former coordinators, I think in 2025, the trio, Diesel, that each school has with Beamer, White, and Shula, and Sweeney, Allen, and Riley, I'm not the biggest Riley advocate. I don't think he's the best coordinator ever, but I think it's interesting to look at the two programs maybe in being in a very similar situation or boat as having really good stability at both coordinator positions.
Well, results have to matter. I mean, even though our sample size on Shula is short, I mean, we've seen him in other situations with the Panthers where he's had that opportunity, and he was with that program for the entire season, right? There's no reason to believe, especially if you want to believe the Dowell Loggins haters, that Shula was the architect of the second half of that season offensive turnaround. He should have been able to step right into that role, having been around, knowing the nomenclature, being in the room the whole time. He should have been able to step right in and hit the ground running. So I've got to dock him for the performance that they had in the bowl game. Maybe it's indicative of who he's going to be as the coordinator for South Carolina. Hopefully for you Gamecock fans, it's not. But as of right now, I'm giving the edge to Garrett Riley, considering the fact that with Clemson's offensive line woes, with their running back position woes, to see Cade Klubnik still put up the numbers that he put up this year, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And he deserves credit for that.
I think that's fair. I won't give Shula a knock for a bowl game, but I understand the sentiment of, underperforming in the first game where you have a chance to shine. On the text line, Dewey says Shane Beamer. Let's see. Texter says, depending on how much each coaching staff interacts with the players that they have and can get is what's going to determine who has the better staff. You can just look at it and make a determination without seeing who gets them production. Tolo Steve on the text line says it's a lateral move, but if you look at the conferences, the talent level in the Big Ten is much better than the ACC, and it's probably easier for him to go to Clemson and win a conference championship than it would be here in the Big Ten. I agree with that. I do.
Possibly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, talent-wise, maybe the Big Ten has the edge. Maybe they do. But again, when you ask if it's a lateral move or a step up or a step down, I don't really base talent on. I don't really answer that with that in mind, Diesel, because better job, step up. If you're in the ACC, I think it's a step up just because, let's call a spade. The ACC is not as good. You have a chance to play for a conference champ. Every coach wants to play for a conference championship. There's a lot of coaches out there who have never even won a conference championship, Diesel. So it's an interesting move from Penn State to Clemson. I'm intrigued. I cannot wait to see in his first year at Penn State, he had them as the 7th best defense. Now let's see what he does at Clemson.
Well, I'm intrigued to see if he has the ability to pull Big Ten talent to Clemson, right? Pull a couple of guys who would otherwise be going to Penn State down to Clemson, and maybe he can even get a transfer or two to follow him. That's going to be fascinating to watch. When we come back, Cole, God, this is something that a major professional franchise is touting like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. And I'm saying, big whoop. We'll talk about it next on the Fan Upstate. Cole, I used to love watching our local team here in the Carolinas play NBA basketball. You know, I grew up in the era of Del Curry, of Alonzo Mourning, of Larry Johnson, Grandma Ma. Might have been one of the most exciting franchises in the NBA in the early 90s. Now they're a complete and utter joke.
Thanks,
the
Michael.
Charlotte Hornets.
Thanks,
yes. Michael. The city of Charlotte let the Hornets go because they wouldn't build them a new stadium, and they were right to let the team go. That's billionaire owners asking people that who were living paycheck to paycheck, making $40,000 a year to pay for their opulent stadiums. It's the right thing to do to let them go. However, Cole, since they came back as the Bobcats and then eventually changed back to the Hornets, things have not gone particularly well, as evidenced by this major announcement that the Charlotte Hornets just put out on Twitter earlier today. They tweeted, big news, announcing that 5 games this season will be broadcast on WSOC TV in Charlotte, saying, quote, this is the first time since 2007, 2008. Don't miss out. Woo. Big whoop. A terrible basketball team is actually showing their games locally on broadcast television.
I'll tell you what, I'll play the other side. I like it.
I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it, but don't call it big news and can't miss TV.
You don't have any other news.
So here's what happened.
They suck.
Cole. Here's a step-by-step guide on how the Charlotte Hornets and all major sports have done things over the last 10 years or so. Step 1, pull all your games off of broadcast television and hide them behind a paywall. Step 2, realize that no one is watching your crappy team hidden behind a paywall. Step 3, move a couple of games back to broadcast television and then act like it's a big deal.
Well, is it a big meal in the grand scheme of things? No. Is it a big deal to them? Here's the deal. Is it a big deal to kids who are sitting at home in the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area who want to watch the Hornets, all 4 of them?
Guess
Maybe
what?
so.
People down here in Greenville want to watch the Hornets play.
Do they?
People in Asheville want to watch the Hornets play. People in Greensboro, in Raleigh, in Fayetteville, in Myrtle Beach, they all want to watch the Charlotte Hornets play too.
Do they?
So why are you announcing like you've just saved your team and done some big thing when you make 5 games available on one Charlotte television station? This has been one of my biggest gripes, Cole, with what's happened in streaming, is blacking out your local team on local broadcast TV, forcing the fans who are most likely to be a fan of your team, those living within, 200 miles of your home city, forcing them to pay extra to watch your team while allowing people on the other side of the country to watch it for free.
So what are the Hornets fans, like the actual ones that, I don't know if there are any of them out there, but let's see on this. I just found the post that you were talking about. Let's see what the Hornets fans are saying in the replies. The first reply is, man, I have so many memories of chilling in my room back in the early 90s watching the Hornets basketball on WJZY. Glad to see, and hopefully it turns into more games in the future on local TV. Creighton on the reply says it's a start. Matt says, do all of them, these games being on networks that have changed hands numerous times and aren't on the common streaming platforms. These streaming options are too expensive. I agree with that. I think the streaming it hurts, but it looks like most of its positivities. One guy says dump FanDuel TV regional so we can all watch our Hornets.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is.
So Cole, I wanted to watch more Hornets games, and then I realized, oh crap, they're on Bally. I'm not paying for that. I wanted to watch Charlotte FC games so we can watch the actual MLS team in the area. Can't do it. It's hidden behind a paywall. I wanted to watch the Carolina Hurricanes. Can't do it because it's buried behind a paywall. I want to watch the Atlanta Braves, but I can't do it because it's buried behind a paywall.
Sure.
Tell me what kind of sense it makes that me living right here in Greenville, South Carolina, a top 60 market in television, cannot watch any of the pro teams in a 3-state radius without having to pay extra money to watch them. It's not smart marketing for these major teams to bury their content behind a paywall.
I'd say welcome to 2025. I don't like it. I don't like it either. But
it's one less person they'd have watching their games.
It is. It's. I don't like it either. I mean, I grew up watching the Braves on TBS. I mean, I don't like it at all. I don't know that with more and more streaming platforms available, I don't know that it's going to get any better.
Well,
I don't know.
I can choose not to watch them at all rather than pay $15 a month for 2 or 3 or 4 apps to be able to watch the local teams.
Yeah.
I can watch the highlights on YouTube for free. I can watch the shorter highlights on ESPN because I've already paid for it.
Diesel's not happy. He's not happy.
No, I mean, if you want to say the states of North and South Carolina, we've got a network of television stations that are carrying Charlotte Hornet games. Okay. And considering, Cole, that the only thing that gets a lot of people to tune in anymore on broadcast TV are live sports.
Yeah.
Stop showing reruns of The Voice or The Masked Singer or whatever. I don't care who that is underneath that giant wolf costume. I'd rather just watch live sports and wash your damn hands.
That too, right?
And wash your damn hands. I pay for enough streaming platforms already.
All right, Diesel, we have a brand new audience joining us in 7 minutes from now. Tolo's just getting off work at 6 o'clock. We're coming to you. Want to jump right back into the Deion Sanders potential move to Dallas. If you haven't had a chance to get in, the phone lines lit up earlier when we were talking about it. We'll get right back into that next.
far as a coveted job, I don't know that that's accurate. I mean,
Really?
I do think the Cowboys are obviously a high-profile team. Whoever is head coach of that team is certainly going to draw a lot of attention. But I think most football people that take over as a head coach, they want to do it on their terms.
That's
and
fair.
That's hard to do. And it's, if you take a Dan Campbell, for instance, is Dan Campbell if he's with the Dallas Cowboys? It's hard to imagine that he is. It's hard to imagine that a lot of these coaches might be. So, I love the Dallas Cowboys. I played there for 12 years. I wish them well. But to say that it's a coveted job, I'm not sure I would necessarily agree with that.
That was Troy Aikman Diesel when asked about the Dallas Cowboys being a coveted job. And you know what? I think Troy Aikman absolutely hit the nail on the head. I really do. And he brought up Dan Campbell, right, with what he's done in Detroit and how Jerry Jones won't allow, read between the lines of what Troy said, how Jerry Jones won't allow someone to come in and do what they want. Here's my question to you, and here's my question to the Tolos out there. Good to see Scotty from BMW. What's up, Scotty? Good to see you on the YouTube stream. As I ask this question, I want to hear from the Tolos on the text line as well as the phones. The phone lines are open, 844-326-3663. You can text the same number. Diesel, why? Jerry Jones, as smart as he is when it comes to business and making money, why can't he hear something like that and look in the mirror and say, you know what? All these years I've been stubborn, prideful, doing it the wrong way. Maybe I need to give, some leeway and let someone come in here and do it their way. Maybe that's what would get us back to a Super Bowl.
Well, it reminds me of my wife and I just finished season 1 of Yellowstone, and there was a line in there that everybody from LA wants to be a cowboy. Like every doctor, every lawyer wants to be a cowboy, right? So every billionaire wants to be a football coach, grew up want to be a football player, and they also believe in their own cult of personality. They believe that they're always right? Jerry Jones wants to be involved. He bought the team so that he could do all of the things that he's doing, right? He bought the team so that he could tinker with the lineup, so that he could decide who's on his roster, so that he could determine people's paychecks and negotiate with them for their salaries. He loves it. He loves being involved in all of those things. And yeah, he's got businesses all over the place, but maybe that doesn't excite him. Maybe that's not the reason why he bought the team, so that he could just sit back and make money off of it. Maybe he's already got enough businesses where he gets to just sit back and make money off of it. He wants to be the one who's it's like playing fantasy football, but in real life. I mean, he is messing with all of the details, ordering things the way that he wants to order things. So it's kind of an egomania thing.
So I hear you.
Like a kid with an ant farm.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's done it that way his entire life. You have not started Diesel. You have not started Landman yet. However, you will. There is a very short scene rather that I'll tell you, I think Jerry Jones should go into acting. He's not good at winning football games. He's not good at getting his team to Super Bowls. However, very late in season 1 of Landman, tell me if you've ever heard an owner of a team do as good a job acting as Jerry Jones did in Landman. I say sell the team, go into acting. He might make millions. What do you think, Diesel?
My daughter, when I was in my 30s, went to school at Stanford. I couldn't stand it. She was so far from Arkansas. So I'd think of reasons to make trips out there, try to come up with a little business or something. I go out there with her. I get an old office downtown Palo Alto. Jean goes to class with her. I said, I need to get some things going out here if I'm going to spend this kind of time. So I went over to Brentwood, about 20 or 30 miles from San Francisco. And I bought about 25 lots, like I was going to build 25 houses. Except I drilled 4 gas wells. And those 4 gas wells in 18 months paid me enough money for me to buy the Dallas Cowboys. Paying attention to my kids actually led to me getting involved into the passion of my life. And all along, what I was trying to do is hang out near my daughter. A lot of things happened that you didn't have planned or don't have the strategy for. Hey, Tom. Now, I'm not saying I've done anything right, but I made my mind up a long time ago I was going to work with my kids. They're involved in everything. They're involved in my leasing, oil and gas, real estate. And so when I got the Cowboys, I got it so that we could all work together. I thought I was doing it for them. But the one that got the most out of it was me. I just know it's not going to be this time, but you're going to be sitting here sometime in the future, laying here sometime in the future. And this room's going to be full of your business associates and the people you've worked with all your life. And more than likely, your children and family are going to be there because they're your children and your family. But you could have them there because they're the people you spent your life with, you worked with, you fell down with, you got up with. Not just Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's who you want to be with. So when that time comes like this, it's a celebration of your life. And you're not wishing you to spend a little more time seeing a few more sons come up. That's the trick. That's the trick. Because that's going to be your glory. I'm pretty proud of them Cowboys. I'm pretty proud of the stuff we've done in oil and gas. It pales in comparison to how proud I am to have lived my life working with my kids. You got a chance to do something about that. I hope you will. And I'll tell you, young man, you're no spring chicken. And you ought to listen to a little this yourself.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm a few eggs short of a spring chicken, that's for sure.
Think a lot of both of you guys.
Feeling mutual. Thank you, Jerry.
Okay. Don't make me get my rubber glove out.
How about Jerry Jones, Diesel?
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you.
What a performance. That's a great delivery.
He was fantastic. So I'm saying forget football, forget oil, sell the freaking team. And it's hard because you and I just listened to 3 minutes of audio. His face, tears in his
Sold
eyes.
it perfectly.
Oh, he was crying. So I'll set the scene for you, not to spoil it, but this guy, I'm not going to tell you who because I don't want to spoil it. There's a guy that's in the hospital, a lot of stress from a big oil company, and he's got basically his second or third heart attack, right? Well, all he does is work, and Jerry, being in the oil business, is there, and you just heard what he said to him.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic acting job.
It is.
Why can't he do as good of a job doing football as he can acting?
But I think what he said there, it makes most sense, is football is the great passion of his life. Being with his family is also the great passion of his life. So the only thing Jerry could do is step out of the way and let his son take over running the team.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, at the end of the day, he's still his father, and fathers feel like they know best, and fathers want to be involved. Jerry doesn't want to be pushed out. He doesn't want to lose that connection and that place that he goes, meaning the facility in Dallas.
Sure.
To be around his son and spend time with his son. So I assume that the vast majority of that story, if not all of it, is the truth, right?
Yeah.
Is the truth of why Jerry bought the team and how he got the money to go buy the team. Okay, so football is the great passion of his life. How are you going to tell somebody to stop doing their passion, even if their passion isn't great? I mean, you know, there's a lot of people who are bad singer-songwriters.
Yeah,
but it's their passion, so they still go out and do it. There's painters who are bad at it. They still go out and do it.
The problem is, Diesel, Jerry is in a results-based business, and the results have not been there in 28 years.
So what Jerry is saying is, for him, The results don't matter. It's the vehicle to spend time with his family.
I've said that my entire life. I've always said, and again, think about it like this, and you and I can only think because this will never happen unless we hit the lottery. Diesel, I ask this to everybody. I talk about it all the time, and we're going to get to a couple of texts and messages on the stream. But think about this, and be truthful to you Tolos as well. I'm going to ask you the same question. If you woke up tomorrow morning and you had more zeros in your bank account than you could ever imagine, and it started with a B, and your oil, hear this, your oil companies were more profitable than the Dallas Cowboys, if that's what you woke up to, and you had your family, you worked together, you had a great life, you had a helicopter, whatever the world was at your fingertips, would you care about wins and losses?
Yeah, because what's sexy about making money from an oil drill?
You can go buy whatever the heck you want to buy, right? I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. So I don't know that I would.
It's what's the passion here? The process.
I think
or the result.
I think the chase. I think the chase is Jerry's passion. I really do. I think the journey and the chase every single season, Diesel, of a brand new season. I think that's what Jerry's passion is. He's won Super Bowls. However, it's been a very long time since he won Super Bowls.
How many times have you played fantasy football, Cole? Like, how many seasons have you played fantasy football?
Several.
Mm-hmm. Let me guess. Were you good at it your first year? Did you win a lot of games?
No.
What about your second year?
No.
What about your third year?
A little better.
But you kept playing, right?
Yeah, and I'm still not any better.
Your fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, it's not about the winning. It's about having the ability to be in control.
And that's why I like sports wagering, because it's the process, right? It's the what you're doing, paying attention to games that otherwise you'd never be watching. I understand that. Like, I love processes. I love the journey, I love it. But at the same time, what I wish Jerry Jones would understand, Diesel, is, hey, you've got millions and millions of fans out there who are starving for a championship. Let me tell you this. If you told me that Deion Sanders coming to the Cowboys would give me a Super Bowl, I'd take it. I'd sign up. If you told me, Billy, whoever, I would take it. Deion Sanders coming to the Cowboys, they spoke about what we don't know, Diesel, but I just don't think it would really happen. I'm not saying it's not realistic, but the whole thing Deion said about bringing his kids to Dallas, wanting to coach his sons, you and I talked about this last week. I don't see how that happens in the NFL, so I don't think Deion does come to Dallas.
But isn't Deion's demands, or aren't Deion's demands reflective of Jerry Jones's demands and reasons for doing what he's doing? I mean, Deion wants to spend time with his kids, right? And I mean, for some parents, you don't want to be in Colorado while one of your sons is in Cleveland and another one of your sons is in Carolina, right? Let's just say Shiloh goes to the Panthers, whatever, right? You don't want to be separated from your family. You're doing what you're doing to be able to spend time with your family.
No, I get that. I really do.
And that is, that is very respectable in the sense of, I will do whatever it takes to spend time with my family, and my oil and gas money is my means to spending time with my family, rather than oil and gas and the pursuit of money is the reason why I don't spend time with my family.
Scotty from BMW chimes in on the YouTube stream, which you can do. Scotty says, because admitting you suck at something is difficult. Dude will never look in the mirror and say, Jerry, you just can't run this team. Time to pass it on to better hands. Scotty says, yes, I would. Pride is a thing. Some of the richest people in the world are not happy and bored. Squid Games teach us that. I haven't watched Squid Games, but yes, you're right. There are a lot of people who are wealthy. And I have friends who are far wealthier than I'll ever be that are more miserable than I'll ever be. And you're right, Scotty.
A lot of people make themselves miserable because they're estranged from their families because they spent so much time pursuing money and financial ventures and success or power or fame or whatever it may be. Again, I'm glad Jerry Jones is not my team's owner. It's not like David Tepper is much better, right? But the fact that he is using his success, again, assuming everything he said there is 100% genuine. I don't know Jerry Jones inside and out.
Sure.
But assuming everything he says there is genuine, I think that's commendable. I think it's commendable.
It's commendable until you're a fan and you're tired of losing in the playoffs and you want a freaking Super Bowl.
You don't have to be a fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
You don't, but you do. I don't know how. I don't know how.
You don't.
I don't know how.
That's the thing. You can just
telling you, I don't know
just stop.
How.
You just stop.
How? For 28 years.
You sound like an addict, Cole. You know what? Just don't pick up the beer can and drink. Well, how do I not do that? Just don't do it.
I don't understand what that means. I really legitimately don't understand what you're talking about. I just think that here's what I will say though. I think Troy Aikman hit the nail on the head when he was talking about Dan Campbell. Because here's what I'll say about Deion. I think Deion would be successful. I think Deion could, Diesel, lead a team to a Super Bowl. I think Deion could get it done in the NFL. I just don't know that Deion's going to be able to do that in a situation, in a franchise where he has his hands tied behind his back. If you told me Deion won a Super Bowl, I would tell you it would be a similar situation like Dan Campbell's in Detroit, where he pretty much has the reins and he can do what he wants with his shiny toys and nobody's looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could, if you're Deion Sanders or if you're Deion's agents and your conversations with Jerry Jones, you look around and say, hey, look how Dan Campbell has done things.
Yeah.
He was kind of given free reign to do what he wanted to do. Look how Dave Canales is, look what he's accomplishing in Charlotte. Small sample size, albeit, but look, David Tepper is stepping back a little bit and letting him take the reins. Let me take the reins. Trust me for 18 months. Give me a year and a half without intervention and let me improve this thing. And if it doesn't improve, you can fire me. Get rid of me.
Yeah.
It's still your team. You do with it what you want to. But give me 18 months. Give me 2 years to do things my way. And if it doesn't work, I'm gone. But if it does work, we're going to win a lot of football games together.
The last thing I'll say before we run to a break, Diesel, I believe it all boils down to 2 letters. Not words, but 2 letters. I think the Cowboys' lack of success over the last 28 years, and when you talk about Mike McCarthy, who I like a lot, I don't think it was Mike McCarthy's fault. When you talk about the Cowboys not getting it done, I'll give you 2 letters as to why it hasn't happened, and those 2 letters are GM. I think you have to have a GM, a football guy who knows what it takes to get there. And Jerry Jones, as long as he's the GM, Diesel, I don't think you're going to have any movement in a positive direction. You'll have seasons where you win, 10, 11 games because of the talent, but there's no consistency. There's no substance there because every year it's a hope and a prayer just based off the talent that you have. You'll somehow find a way to
Have you ever looked at a Fortune 500's corporate management structure? It's typically shaped like a triangle, right? Or like a pyramid. With the Dallas Cowboys, it's a straight line.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is the owner. Jerry Jones is the GM. Jerry Jones is making this decision. Heck, Jerry Jones is probably in there scrubbing the toilets because Jerry Jones believes that only Jerry Jones knows how to scrub the toilets the right way. It goes back to our conversation about hiring head coaches to be your assistant coaches in college football. You spread the things around with knowledge. You go be great at what you're great at. Jerry Jones is great at making money. Go make money and hire a GM who knows how to be a great GM.
I had a great conversation last night with a local high school basketball coach that you will hear from next in a high school coach's spotlight basketball edition. We did football a lot, but I had this already on our socials. It's already gotten over 100 downloads in less than 24 hours. It's all over our socials. And we know a lot of high school a lot of high school basketball fans in the area enjoy hearing local coaches. These are, I'll do these a few times during the season, put them up on the website and share them on socials. But just so happens we do have some time today to air the one that I did last night with Lane Fowler, the head boys basketball coach at Burns. I'll be heading over to Dorman when the show's over for the Burns-Dorman game, probably the biggest game in the state tonight. But we'll talk to Lane Fowler and hear what he has to say about this 16-0 Burns Rebels team next. for you guys. What's been the recipe for success thus far in 2024 and 2025?
Well, Cole, what's up, buddy? I feel, for us right now, there's a couple of factors. I think number one factor is we're really good at sharing the basketball. A lot of people don't think that's super exciting. They want to see guys score, but we are scoring it as a team. We're just sharing it really well, and it starts, with our point guard, Colt Fowler, but we got real capable scorers with Evan Enos, Suki Singh, Jamari Cullen, Fabian. They're all right there, either in double figures or close. Colt's in double figures, but he also, is in double figures assists, averaging 12 a game. So I think, just specifically how our style, I think that's a big part of it. And then, last year's team, great senior leadership. We made a run in a state championship, lost in the state championship. And I think, we just have a really good just groundwork laid for what we're trying to do as a program. And I've been very fortunate with, a lot of those kids.
Coach, you mentioned last year's team. Do you find it difficult? Maybe not, but when it comes to managing expectations, last year you took your team to a state championship appearance, obviously fell short, but then turn around this year. Sometimes you have a little bit of a lull, or sometimes you have to build it back a little bit after losing the talent that you did. But you guys are all to a 16-0 start, kind of rebuking that theory. So how do you manage those expectations after coming off the state championship appearance?
Yeah, I mean, we like expectations. I don't think anybody puts any more on us than we put on ourselves. I would be lying to you, Cole, if I said that, I thought we'd be off to a 16-0 start. We knew going into the summer, we kind of wiped the slate clean and got into a lot of our work and, just played a lot of games in the live events that we can play in, had a really good beginning of the school year in the fall. So we felt good about our team. But, again, I think when you lose the talent that we lost and the leadership and the toughness of a Will Fowler, Kaysen McDowell, two guys that were all state players, I think it just kind of is a credit to the work. We've got kids that we still believe in a pecking order. Don't get me wrong. If we have a ninth grader who's all world, he's going to play. But, if you get last year, for instance, Jamari and Suki played a lot of minutes, had a lot of reps in practice behind Kaysen and Will. And I think that propelled them to have the season that they're having right now. So, we kind of pride ourselves on being a good defensive team. We try to be a good rebounding team. And then if we do those things, we can get out transition, and that really helps our team.
Pride yourself on being a good defensive team. 6 games this year, your team has scored 80+. 3 games, you've scored 90+. So would you credit that high-scoring offense to the execution on defense, or where would you credit that?
Yeah, I think it starts there, Cole. Excuse me. I think you have to – you do have times where you have really good individual defenders, like maybe a really good perimeter defender, like for us, Jamari Cullen, a really good post defender like I've had not only on this team but in the past. And I think for us this year, it's a little bit more of just a cohesiveness, connected. All 5 of us on the floor, and if we can get stops, man, it really gets us out there. And we've worked so hard at being a running Rebels, truly a fast-paced team. And so it's not something that just all of a sudden shows up on Tuesday or Friday night. We work on it daily. I mean, huge game tomorrow night with Dorman, and we worked on it today for a long time. So that's what we're trying to do.
When you talk about region play, obviously the game at Dorman, you've already played Gaffney and Spartanburg. You've outscored region opponents 168-115. Is there a different level of expectation that you've noticed your guys just pick up on naturally when you enter region play?
Well, we totally kind of break our seasons up from, preseason to right there, non-region games to like your tournaments and then region play. I think they know, for me, the values in everything that we do, especially practice. But yes, Cole, your region games hold so much to them as far as, home court, playoff seeding, things like that. So I try not to, sounds coach's cliche, but, any region game is as important as the Dorman game. The kids and the fans are the ones that kind of get more hyped for those games. So, yeah, they know region games. For us, the 2 years we've competed in a state championship at Burns. Well, I've been there both years. We had home court advantage, and I think those teams could have went without it, but I do know that holds a big factor.
We're talking to Lane Fowler, the head basketball coach at Burns, and this high school basketball coaches spotlight. Coach, those first two non-region games, Gaffney, close game, 77-66 win, Spartanburg, 91-49. In those two wins, what did you learn about your team? Obviously, the Spartanburg game was not close. By the time that game was final, I know for the first few minutes it was close, but you guys flipped a switch and turned it on. What have you learned about your team in those two games that you maybe didn't know?
Well, I think two different situations there. I think we learned a lot about ourselves as far as the Gaffney game on the road, that you saw a lot of resilience for our guys. I mean, Gaffney came out very talented, and I thought, they played really well. They kind of punched us in the mouth, and, they're up 6 at the half. I thought third quarter we made some good adjustments of what they were doing, defensively, how they were dictating our flow, which was get Colt a little bit more downhill. They were taking our shooters away. And so we were able to do that, win a tough game on the road. And then, Thursday night, I know the score might not be indicative of the game, but, Spartanburg's up 2 going into the second quarter. They're actually up 2 with 3 minutes left in the half. We go on a 10-0 run to go up 8 at the half. And then, yes, third quarter, we got out there in transition, as you and I were talking about a minute ago. We started knocking down some threes, getting some easy looks at the rim. And then it just snowballed in a good way for us. I've had it snowball the wrong way for us, but, it snowballed in a good way of guys just more unselfish than they already were, more defensive stops. The next thing you know, you take a 12, 18, 20-point lead, and it just pushes out there. So I think resilience in that first game, winning a tough game on the road. And second one, just getting back to enjoying the game. I think we came out a little flat. I don't know why. As a coach, you always want to try to have you guys prepared, and not only physically but mentally and emotionally. And for whatever reason, Cole, we were just, and some of that, tip your hat to Spartanburg. I mean, I'm never one to not think respect my opponent. We do. And we just didn't have the energy. And I told them today, I said, man, the more joy we're playing with, not only are we more fun to watch and coach, but we just play better.
Coach, you mentioned the game Tuesday at Dorman, always a tough game going to Roebuck. This year's Dorman team, what do you notice when you watch film in comparison to Dorman teams of years past?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, phenomenal program for a lot of years now. When you see that team come out, I've seen it live, and obviously I've watched a ton of film on them. They look the part, like they look like a basketball team. You got 6'7" center, you got a 6'5" power forward. You got 3 guards, two in particular that can score a lot. Another one a little bit more of a floor general in Brazil. But, number 2, Jaden's scoring it at all 3 levels. Aiden, number 4s. I've seen him a lot just through the travel ball circuit. He's played, my son and him have played together. So off the jump, those 5 are very versatile. They can pound you inside, get on offensive glass. They've already had 2 games this year where they've beat their school record shooting the 3 or making threes of 12, 13, and then I think 14 in one game. So, it's hard to just hone in on one thing, whether like, hey, we got to really defend the post better tonight, or we got to really, run them off the 3-point line. Good teams, they find ways, I think in any sport, but especially basketball, to beat you in numerous ways. And Dorman's proven they can do that. And then defensively, you got Keenan Arcega-Whiteside inside, who's a shot blocker, rim protector. Will Bush, as I said, 6'7", not the leaper that Keenan is, but also a big body in there. And then they're handsy out there on the perimeter so they can get steals. But we got our hands full. I mean, we know that, always do, going over there. And, it's kind of what you sign up for when you want to be the coach at Burns, to know you're going to be playing all these really good schools and hopefully getting your kids prepared for it.
Coach, last question for you. You're 16-0. I would assume that through 16 games, you know a pretty good bit about your team. But I would assume also in the same breath that if there's anything out there that you don't know, you'll learn it in the next 3 at Dorman, at Bowling Springs, and then hosting Riverside. That's a pretty tough stretch for any team.
Well, that's a gauntlet. Right now I think we're 2 in the state. Dorman's 3. Bowling Springs has now been in the top 10 for several weeks. Coach Mark's doing a phenomenal job over there. I think they're 8th and playing good. Matter of fact, they got down to a 2-point game with Dorman right before Christmas. And then Riverside, Coach Arnold does as good a job as anybody in the state. His team's down 12 at Dorman before Christmas. Not only they tied up to go to overtime, they end up winning that game. So, you're talking about a lot of really good programs with, great coaches, kids that like to compete. So we're going to learn a lot, Cole. But I really try to keep the focus amongst our guys inside that locker room, inside our group. Like I told you at the beginning, we have our own expectations. We're not scared to put expectations on our kids. And you know what? They've more than met them up to this point. I have no doubt we'll continue to meet them. And that's not just in winning. Yes, winning's great. But, if we compete at the level I know we can, we're going to be right there with anybody. We just don't want to be out-competed.
Coach, fantastic stuff. Great start, 16-0. Appreciate your time, and best of luck against Dorman.
Cole, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Diesel, how good do you think our Siri on our iPhone is?
She gets it wrong almost every time. Or I ask her a very specific question, and she says, "Here's what I found on the web for you."
Yeah, I don't like that. That's
hate
a
it.
cop-out. I want you to tell me.
Supposedly, the new Apple Intelligence will fix that.
Okay.
If you've got like the newest model of iPhone, which I don't, you don't either. She gives you the answer, and they say it's specifically because people were getting mad that Siri wouldn't answer questions.
I'm in the same boat. So here's what I'm going to do live on air. I had to do this earlier. Maybe it was last week because I want to talk about this TGL, this golf league that's happening tonight with Tiger Woods in the TGL broadcast.
Does it stand for Tiger Golf League?
No, it doesn't. So let's see if Siri knows. What is TGL Golf?
TGL is a planned golf league created by Tomorrow Sports, a venture formed by sports executive Mike McCarley and professional golfers Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy in partnership with the PGA Tour.
Okay. Pretty good,
This is
right?
from Wikipedia.
Okay, that's enough.
But it still doesn't tell me what TGL stands for.
No, it doesn't. So basically, it's a new golf league, Diesel, that combines traditional golf with simulated indoor golf. The league is in is a partnership between the PGA Tour and the TMRW Sports, a company founded by Tiger Woods and Rory and Mike McCarley, like Siri said. So it broadcasts on ESPN. Players are mic'd up, custom-built venue, shot clock, timeouts. You know, a very fun way to experience golf.
Okay.
Did you watch last week?
I didn't.
I did not either.
I didn't, but if the concept is such, and I believe it is, you're playing in a big arena, right? You're playing in a space, and you're essentially playing virtual golf by hitting real golf balls into a net using like TrackMan, and it knows like you're staring at a screen and you're staring at a hole on the screen, like you were just standing on the tee box looking down the thing. You hit your shot, and it tells you where it went, and then you just set up for the next shot from your new distance, and then you get your new club. And assuming these things are accurate, which it's crazy to me that they are super accurate. I mean, it seems like a great way to continue practicing golf even in the off season.
Okay, so Tiger Woods. Does Tiger Woods interest you at all?
Yeah.
Okay, he's back in action tonight. Woods, who's 49, Diesel, he will make his TGL debut for the Jupiter Links Golf Club on Tuesday alongside teammates Max Homa. So Max is well known.
Yep.
Kevin Kisner, Tom Kim. They will face off against the LA Golf Club featuring Colin Morikawa, very well known, Justin Rose, Sahith Theegala, who I met last year at the Quail Hollow course, real young guy, real popular.
Oh, yeah,
on YouTube.
yeah.
Yep. Tommy Fleetwood at the SoFi Center in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida tonight. So for those out there that are wondering how the competition works, think PGA Tour meets Topgolf. Players start by driving into a giant simulator screen before transitioning to a real green once their shot lands 50 yards or less from the hole. During the first 9 holes, teammates alternate shots in the triples phase. The final 6 holes feature head-to-head matchups between players from each team known as singles. Does that make sense?
Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, so you've got you hit your drive into the screen. It somehow tells them exactly where that ball landed.
That's right.
And
you start with the screen. This is pretty weird.
And recreates. How are they recreating that many greens?
No, the greens are real.
Well, okay. But it's still inside the arena, right?
Yeah.
It's still inside the arena. How are they recreating 18 different topographical layouts?
I know. The pictures are awesome. And I don't know if I'll be able to watch tonight because I am going to cover a high school basketball game, but it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty legit. Let's see what time
it appears to be a much more realistic form of virtual golf. It's a mix of virtual and real,
which I'm a fan of. I like that.
I'm trying to find some images here that are not just promotional images so that I can get a sense of what they're actually doing. Did they show this on TV? You said they showed this on TV last
Tuesday. So it starts at 7. As soon as you and I go off the air, it starts at 7 tonight.
All right, I'm going to mute my screen so that I don't accidentally put this out over the air.
Oh no, just go for it.
And I am going to. Okay, so I'm looking at Shane Lowry teeing off, and he hits the ball into the net.
Yep.
Just like watching any golf simulator, the ball's flying. Okay, he lands it on the fairway. Looks just like playing virtual golf, whether it be on, Tiger Woods on PlayStation. And then, okay, so you walk up to a virtual green. I guess everybody's hitting at, how do they have, does this room have like 18
different
greens in the
That's what I'm
building?
saying. It's pretty neat. It's a big building, I believe. I don't know about 18 greens. That's
okay. So maybe they're teeing off into a combination of like 3 or 4 greens.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So, I mean, it looks like they're not hitting off of, when they're teeing off, they're not teeing off of a mat. They're teeing off of real grass. It's like a patch of real grass.
Yeah.
And okay, this is what's making this hard. I'm trying to figure this out. They keep,
by the way, DB on the YouTube stream says, okay, I'm convinced to check it out. He's going to watch it tonight. It's
I'll have
on
to
ESPN.
watch it. This is one of those things. It's so strange and it's so inventive.
What's the name?
It's hard to figure out what it is they're actually doing here because they keep bouncing back and forth. Like you're watching, this is highlights.
Yeah.
So you can't get a sense of the flow of what they're actually doing, I guess, until you watch the real match.
We do have a caller, Scotty Mac. We're up against it, Scotty, but we've got about 60 seconds. What's up, Scotty Mac?
Well, I just want to give some insight into that green. I didn't realize it, but that green changes every hole. They actually have these like mechanisms underneath.
Wow.
Cool. And it'll change contours and change direction.
Wow.
So it's almost like it's almost like a different hole every time they hit into that net and they get onto the green. It's kind of pretty cool.
That's interesting.
Thanks, Scotty Mac.
Scotty Mac. Wow.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Scotty Mac, where are you calling from?
I'm actually just leaving downtown Greenville. Hey, I finished, I think, 19th in your Pick'em Challenge, so I'm looking for number one next. First time I'm calling you guys, but I love you guys. But check out the whole 2 hours of this thing because you guys are gonna think it's pretty cool.
Well, Scotty Mac, I finished 12th in the Upset Picks Challenge, so in your face.
I'll see you next year, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
It's kind of like the National Whitewater Center in Charlotte. If you've ever been there, there's a chute where the water flows, but they can move boulders up and down underneath the water to change the flow and change the contours.
The fact that they can move the greens, though.
That's really interesting. I want to see the mechanism and the engineering to make that happen. Tolos, appreciate you watching the show. Those of you who are watching on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube, we'll do it again tomorrow. Some big stuff to talk about. Hopefully you'll be here for it on the Fan Upstate.